Hold on, let's do it for real. What's good, nerds? How's everybody doing this Friday night? It's hard for me to tell what day it is, but welcome nonetheless to the stream, unless you're watching this tomorrow, not live, whatever. Cool. Welcome either way. It is I, the Movie Monk, your boy Jay. Let me make myself a little cocktail here, a little celebratory. I'm not a big guy for champagne. I think I drank a bottle of champagne when I did a live stream for my 500 sub celebration, but I got to stick to what I know. I don't mess with that wine shit. So let me just put a little bit of lemon seltzer I can throw on there. I would much rather just have like a little cocktail like this. This is much better. Anyway, hope everybody's having a great evening. It's Friday, right? Is it Friday? It's tough for me because my wife has been out of town for a couple of days, so it's been just me and the kids, and quickly forgot what day it was. Just staying so damn busy. Forget what day it is. But it's Friday, so you dads out there will know. You'll be able to appreciate. The wife leaves you alone for a couple of days with the kids, and it's like, I can handle this. It's going to be different for a few days, kids, but I can handle this. This is something I can do. Getting pretty close tonight. I need this at this point. Took my kids to go see the Moana live action film today. Anybody out there seen the Moana live action film? I would love to know about it. What up, everybody? I'm looking here at my chat does not appear to be updating with the comments that are in there. What's going on? What's going on, chat? Let's see if I can get the chat open. I want to be able to display your comments on the screen. Let's see. Where is the damned live chat, man? I see people in the chat, and I don't see nothing on my screen. This is what I get for being cheap and using OBS instead of, paying for that streaming service or whatever. What the hell is the... let me go to my manage this. What's going on? All right, now I see your comments, but how do I get them to appear on screen? That's what I'd like to do. Oh, welcome everybody. I'm glad to see you fools here in the chat, even if I can't see your comments on. Here we go. Now they're pouring in. I don't know why I cleared everybody's comments out. Sorry about that. Oh, as I was saying, I took the kids to go see the live action Moana. Has anybody seen live action Moana yet? Holler at me if you've seen the live action Moana. I'm curious if anybody has seen that. It was basically Moana. It was just like slightly less CG. The live action thing, the Disney live action thing kind of gets me too, because it's like, this isn't really live action. This is like at least 50%. It's still computer generated imagery, the same as the animated Moana. It's just you got Dwayne Johnson's face instead of cartoon Maui's face. Anyway, saw the animated one? Word. That's totally not the one I'm asking about. I'm actually a fan of the original animated Moana. I feel like it is just the perfect film. There's not a white person at all in the whole movie. Not one single terrible, awful Caucasian in the whole thing. So that's one strike going for Moana. Absolutely zero whiteys. But then, I don't know. I think it's like some movies just hit you at a certain point in your life, like if you line up with them, like everybody who watched Star Wars as like a 10-year-old, you love Star Wars now. But like my grandpa is like 57 when he watches Star Wars, and he's like, what is this shit, right? Like, he's got no time for Star Wars. So, um, things have to line up with you. And for me, obviously, like, I'm a grown ass man with gray in my beard in 2016 when Moana came out. I didn't see Moana in 2016. In fact, I don't think I saw Moana till about 2021, 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. My oldest daughter was just getting old enough. It had to have been 2021, or maybe even somewhere in 2022. My oldest daughter was getting old enough that she could pay attention to like a full movie. She could get through the whole thing. And so, yeah, Moana was just one of the first things that she found. And there would be nights where she wasn't wanting to sleep or something like that, or she's up, half the night and you can't get her back to bed. And like Moana would be, because at 2 o'clock in the morning, most of the time I don't want to plop my kids in front of a screen and just say like, okay, leave daddy alone. Most of the time I want to engage with them. I want them to be doing stuff that's stimulating for their brains and shit. I try to be a good dad, but at 2 in the morning when the kid doesn't want to sleep, I mean, I'm pretty gone at that point. I'm pretty useless at 2. So I don't know, Moana was just one of those movies that we found, and my daughter loved it, and she was obsessed with it. And then when my younger daughter got a little older, she also started watching it, and it was like a big like family thing for us. And so like Moana has a special place in my heart. Plus, no white people in that movie, so special place in my heart for the original cartoon Moana. I think it's a good movie. Moana's kind of a silly character. She's not like an annoying girl boss. She still kind of gets owned a little bit by Maui in silly and funny ways. And so the remake was like, Scottish Bear hasn't seen it yet. Are you really planning on going to see it? Are you going to buy a ticket tomorrow? I think you might not have much longer of an opportunity. I took my daughters tonight because I knew I wasn't going to get a chance to take them to see Moana in the theaters. And as I said, Moana was a big thing for our family. And so it was important to me to take them to see it in the theaters and not, wait or brush it under the rug or treat it as if it wasn't important. So I took them to see it tonight just because I thought this might be the last chance. They're going to be yanking this thing from theaters. I can't believe how bad it tanked. Live action marijuana. I dig it. I don't think I've seen animated marijuana. Speaking of which, not sure I should say that on YouTube, but put 2 and 2 together. I got a nice little cocktail here. Train Your Dragon live action. Yeah, I have not seen that one. I'm honestly not big on the live action remake. I'm kind of cynical about Disney. I think they do the live action remakes to extend copyright. I think Disney as a company, they've dealt with this because they've been around for so long. Shit like Mickey Mouse, they've like lobbied Congress over the past several decades to like extend IP protections so that they can like hang on to Mickey Mouse. And it's been successful in the past, but they're finally at a point where it's like, come on, Steamboat Willie is from 1927. I'm sorry, we got to take it out of like the private, it has to enter the public domain at some point. So I think Disney, they've been doing their remakes, and at first it was older stuff. It was Maleficent was the remake for Sleeping Beauty. Maleficent sucked, by the way. I didn't like that one at all, but the idea was that they would do these remakes and it would give them it would reset that time, because the original cartoon will eventually enter the public domain, but they could have a little bit longer where, their Disney version of that character is copyright protected. I think that's why they were doing it. I don't know why they did with Moana. It's just been 10 years since the OG Moana came out. And so it's just kind of weird. It just feels like it was bad timing for that. It was Moana 2 just cleaned up last year. I kind of feel like they should have spaced the Moanas out a little bit. They need to like push the Moanas a little bit. I didn't even mind Dwayne Johnson like in the live action. I thought, I don't think Dwayne Johnson is ever going to be remembered as, Marlon Brando, right? He's not the Marlon Brando of our time, but he is a guy with a ton of charisma. He is the type of guy who's, I think, made a lot of hay while the sun has been shining on his career. I mean, he's really maximized what he's been able to achieve in terms of a career. I mean, I remember when The Scorpion King came out, the OG, the first Scorpion King. I remember he was in The Mummy Part 2, right? That's where they introduced the Scorpion King character. God, the CG in that was terrible, but it was a good movie. But I remember thinking, like, oh, it's a wrestler. He's trying his hand at like an acting career. Of course, why wouldn't you? But yeah, I actually think that he's a guy with a ton of charisma, which is great for Maui, and the way he plays Maui is like having his head up his own ass and being full of himself. So I didn't even mind Dwayne Johnson in the movie. He doesn't look like Maui. Like, you know, cartoon Maui has this like wide face, and he looks kind of soft. Like, he looks big and strong, but he doesn't look like he's 3% body fat. He looks like he looks like a Pacific Islander, like 25% body fat, eating a lot of coconut and rice and pineapple. Still strong, could pull you in half, but like a softer dude. You know what I mean? Not to say he's not athletic, but it was a little weird saying Dwayne Johnson with like the fake muscles, and he had like every line and striation. I mean, he was like 3% body fat on those latex muscles. So I don't know. I still thought his performance was okay. But it was just like a total rehash. It was like all my favorite parts were like, oh yeah, it's Tamatoa doing the David Bowie song, because I fucking love David Bowie. So Krull, I have seen. I bought the Blu-ray many years ago. I'd seen it on TV, of course, too, because I'm old. But I bought the Blu-ray many years ago and never got around to rewatching it. And then the 4K Steelbook came out, and I found the 4K Steelbook for, I don't know, a good deal, $20 or something like that. And I bought that, and I still haven't watched it. I've seen Krull, but probably not in like 20 plus years. So, and I'm already railing on Star Wars, but just a little. I wasn't saying Star Wars is bad. I was just saying my grandpa doesn't really care for Star Wars, and it has everything to do with like how old he was, like what point of his life he was in when he saw Star Wars. I think if you could take Star Wars back to 1940 or 1945, when my grandpa was youngin', 10 years old, and you showed him Star Wars then, he would probably shit his pants. It's just, it's where you are in your life. I'm not going to talk any shit about Star Wars tonight. I don't like most of the Star Wars movies, but the original trilogy, I mean, I love them. Oh yeah, I have daughters too. Yeah, beyond Z55. How many you got? I've got 2. And the experience is unique for me because I grew up, my dad and my mom, of course, and then I had 2 younger brothers. So it was 5 of us growing up in that house, and 4 of us were male. So it was just a lot of testosterone, a lot of, it was like dude shit. And so I grew up in a very male kind of like, we're rough. Like, I'm going to throw you over my shoulder. We played rough. We hit each other, stuff like that. And so like, I don't know, now I've got girls, and now it's like me, my wife, and 2 girls. And so it's like total opposite. Like, my life is totally reversed. And now it's like, I have to be sensitive, and I can't joke around too hard. Like, I can't like come at them too roughly. They're starting to catch on. My oldest is starting to catch on a little bit to like the humor and the like acerbic verbal, but just having daughters, it's a different experience than like being in a house full of boys was when I was young. So it has been a learning experience. And like, I will say that my sensitivity is probably not at the level of something like my wife's. Very like sensitive and stays calm and shit. And I'm, guys anyway, we're like more the protectors. You just like, if there's a problem, you just want to completely squash it. You want to kill it. You want to destroy it. So the kids start fussing, and it's like, hey, like you bust out like the dad voice, and you want to like grab them and move them and like, don't stand on that. You're going to hurt yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's very business-like. And my wife is always like, you should try being a little softer in those instances. I'm like, hell no, I mean business. I want them to know I mean business. I ain't gonna be soft. Please get off of that thing that might break underneath you, and then you crack your skull open, and I got to take you to the hospital tonight instead of live streaming. Hell no, I'm gonna tell it like it is. So anyway, oh shit. I've watched Jaws sober. I watch movies sober all the time, guys. I promise. Like, in jail. Volume is pretty low. Okay, how does everybody else feel about the volume? I'm just now getting that. Let me crank this a little bit, and I'm going to go over here to my OBS studio, and it looks like my Rodecaster is up about as high as it gets there. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to increase the gain on my mixer here, and I don't want to, like, totally blow you out, so I'm going to just do it in increments and tell me if my volume is still subpar or if it's cool. Don't spoil Moesha. If you haven't seen Moesha yet, you got to get on it, dog. Moana's a good movie. If anybody out there is listening to my voice and you haven't seen Moana yet, it is very good. It is a good movie. Oh, shit. Daniel Banks, Mr. Banks, or is it Mr. 6500? Or is that hyphenated? Is it Banks 6500? Like, you know, you took your wife's name, 6500, and appended it to your Banks. Anyway, Mr. Banks. Orbit did have, I saw on their Instagram, they had a stack. It was maybe even wider than this. It was, I don't know, a dozen Disney Blu-rays, those old, you know, Disney Movie Club ones with the yellow spines. And I saw that they posted the picture and they said, oh, these are going up on the website soon. And I remember thinking to myself, those are going to be disgusting, expensive. They're just going to be stupid price. I got Something Wicked This Way Comes, and that's the only one of that series of Blu-rays that I own because it's a Halloween classic. And it was something like, I don't know, $53. I got it brand new, but it was eBay, I think. And it was like, I paid like $50 for it. And I don't regret it because I'm not sure that we'll ever see a proper re-release, especially a 4K would be lovely, but I'm not sure that we'll ever see it just because of, you know, Disney being weird about that stuff. But $150 is pretty crazy. I will repeat something that my boy Chase frequently says is that, you know, the gentleman running Orbit has often said, oh, you know, we sell pre-owned stuff, but we don't do the eBay pricing. We don't do the secondhand pricing. We don't do that like crazy markup scalper bullshit. But I will say $150 for a single disc on Blu-ray used, a pre-owned single disc Blu-ray. These are pretty bare bones things. They don't come with booklets. They don't come with tons of special features. I think my copy of Something Wicked This Way Comes is like special features, theatrical trailer, scene selection. I'm like, those are not special features, dog. Those are just features. There's nothing special about those features. Those are pretty standard. Anyway, $150 is kind of disgusting for that. And I think that if I ever hear him make a claim again that he doesn't do the scalper resale prices on out of print shit, I'm going to call bullshit because that's just $150 for a movie on Blu-ray. That's just crazy. What up, Sleaze Fiend? I like that name. I feel like we could have some fun with a name like Sleaze Fiend. I feel like we could go to Claremont Lounge in Atlanta, get wild, you know what I'm saying? Get arrested. I have not seen Evil Dead Burn. I'll say another thing about taking my kids to Moana tonight. I got a wife and 2 daughters. I just don't go see cool movies anymore. When my kids were real young, like much younger than they are now, like diapers, it was just tough to get away. Like, yeah, babysitters, okay, cool, but it's not the same as it was 30 years ago. I mean, I remember watching kids for like the neighbors, like, oh, I'd go over there and watch the neighbors' kids or whatever. We'd play some video games, and I'd hang out with them. I'd make sure they ate and went to bed and shit. I'd do a little babysitting, and 6 hours, and they'd be like, here's $12. I'm like, shit, dude. But nowadays, the babysitters are all like, yeah, so I'm CPR certified, and I work in a daycare, and it'll be $25 an hour. I'm like, damn, dude, what you doing? Like $25 an hour, and I still got to make you dinner? Anyway, so that kind of makes a movie pretty expensive, like the tickets being 15 or 16, and then, so me and my wife, we would go see some stuff. Like we managed to see Oppenheimer. We managed to see the recent Nosferatu. So, I mean, like some stuff that was like it was usually me doing the pushing. Also, my wife doesn't love to go see movies on like if we have a date, she doesn't want to go see a movie because we're like just sitting there in the dark, not saying anything. It's pretty excellent if you ask me. But she wants us to like engage and talk and connect. And I love all that stuff too, right? I love connection. Every dude appreciates connecting with their wife, but it's also like, well, when am I going to ever see a film? So that's been the problem in my life, basically ever since my kids were born, is that you just kind of have to balance the, like, I don't know, $75 for me and my wife to go see a movie after paying the babysitter and everything like that, especially Oppenheimer. Jesus, man, that guy cost me an extra $30 by making that movie long as shit. So I haven't gone to see Evil Dead Burn. In an ideal world, you know, as my kids get a little older too, especially if this particular channel starts making enough money to like pay for movie tickets, and then like if the ticket is covered by the revenue that the video earns, I would like to go see more movies on like a weekly basis to be able to talk about them, because like talking about movies is fun. Like the whole reason I'm here right now instead of snoring. And I came very close to falling asleep tonight as I was putting my oldest daughter to bed. It almost happened, guys. I almost missed you entirely, but yeah, so I don't go see movies very often. Something like Evil Dead Burn, particularly with the mixed things that I've heard about it, that's going to be one that I can't pay $25 an hour and then $30 for me and my wife to see that. Although I will say in my wife's favor, I feel like I've just talked a lot of shit about my wife just now, so I have to balance that out. I mean, I wouldn't be married to her if she wasn't awesome. So on the other hand, my wife really does have an excellent taste in movies. So she loves watching horror movies. She loves watching that kind of shit with me. So if I said, yo, Evil Dead Burn, she'd be like, I'm in. And she likes the older stuff too, like my like golden era Hollywood stuff. She will watch anything in black and white, Cary Grant, all that stuff. She'll watch a silent movie with me. So I got to say, just to balance it out, she would see Evil Dead with me. That's kind of the problem I had, actually. I tried to watch, and this is probably where half of you unsubscribed from my channel, the 2013 remake of Evil Dead. I tried to watch. It doesn't help that I was pretty sleepy. I was ready to pass out that night, but I just couldn't get through it. I just kind of feel like not everything needs to be a franchise, Hollywood. Like, some stuff is just okay being one movie or two movies or three movies. You close the door, you move away. Like, you don't have to keep making Star Wars movies. There's a great original Star Wars trilogy that we all remember fondly. You don't have to eat an entire can of chili with beans and Miralax and spread your butt cheeks and defecate all over the trilogy just because it's like, I want to make more money. I think that's the problem with stuff like this, is it doesn't always have to be a franchise. You don't need 17 movies. I know it worked for the Avengers, but whatever. Yeah, I agree with this. It's just brand name marketing BS. Face it, it's over. This guy's spitting. This dude's just spitting. I never saw the show, but I heard it was good. Adrenochrome withdrawal. Yeah, man. That shit is real. I was talking to my wife. I was like, yo, do you know anywhere we could go get some like blood transfusions from some young people? Because my knees is hurting. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting a little older. It'd be nice to kind of color this back in at least a little bit. But yeah. Is anybody else out there? I know I'm way behind in the chat, so I'll never catch up in time. But is anybody else out there feeling like Dwayne Johnson fatigue? Is that something that has been happening recently? I kind of feel like Dwayne Johnson fatigue has been kind of a thing. Like, he used to be like a guaranteed money maker. Like, you put him in a movie, the movie was going to make money. But I feel like maybe the last year or so, especially with this Moana live action, I think maybe he's been kind of knocked off of that spot a little bit. He may not be the box office magic he used to be. What up, Brent Madison? You got a good last name, I will say. Madison. Great name. My youngest daughter's named Madison. Great name. He's literally himself in every role. Yeah, I don't think he's a fantastic actor by any means. I think he's a dude who has charisma. Like, I'm not even sure how much of an actor he is, to your point. I'm not sure how much acting he does, as much as he's really just able to flash an easy smile, very charismatic. And I think if you met him in real life, you would enjoy, like, he's probably the type of dude, like, if you went and had dinner with him, you'd probably have the time of your life. Because, like I said, he's a very charismatic dude. So he just seems like the type of guy who would, like, charm your pants off and maybe not, like, act his way into your pants. He would just charm them right off you. So, oh, man. Yeah. New Spider-Man. I came pretty close to going to see. Actually, there's a couple of movies that, with my wife having been out of town for the last couple of days, I came kind of close to going to see a couple movies. I almost went to see The Odyssey just so I could talk about it on the channel. I'm not going to talk shit about a movie if I haven't seen it, because it might be great. Who knows? And then I also thought, well, Spider-Man's even newer than The Odyssey. This shit just came out. I could go see that and kind of get a jump on everybody else talking about it, but I don't know. I didn't wind up going to see them So I wound up working on other stuff, recording a bunch of videos and editing a bunch of videos for this channel. So I did not break off any day. I'd have to go during the day when my kids are at camp. So I was like, I'd have to go see like 11 o'clock showing of the Odyssey because it's 3 hours long in order to like safely be done in time to pick them up. So I wasn't able to squeeze it in, but who knows? Yeah, he was in The Mummy too, but like you said, not really. It was like a weird CGI. Like I don't even think they used his voice, right? Blatant cash grab. I agree with that. I think all of the live action movies have been blatant cash grabs. Perhaps opportunities to like, change things up a little bit too. You got something you're not. I'm waiting for the live action version of Song of the South, but maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't hold my breath on that one, right? Like they could redo it, right? You could make it more sensitive now if you remade Song of the South. They should think about that. Like you don't need to remake The Little Mermaid. It's a classic. Everybody loves The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. I mean, even like heteronormative, cisgendered, middle-aged dudes like me, I love The Little Mermaid. I got no problem admitting it. But Song of the South, maybe think about remaking that one because, yeah, Gary Oldman's a good one. He is a good one. Sam Neill, yeah, he was one of the good ones too. R.I.P. Sam Neill. Okay, Master of the Universe. My buddy Matt, good buddy of mine named Matt, loved the Masters of the Universe. Now that it's on Amazon Prime, I really don't have any excuse for not watching it except for the fact that I fall asleep. It's my only excuse. I need to check that one out because I never saw it. I was a huge He-Man dude way back in the 80s too. I mean, I was a little kid. These are early memories for me, but I do remember being wicked into He-Man and when it was on TV and stuff. I do remember watching that show quite a bit, being very young at the time and having like a big giant cardboard box just full of He-Man toys at that time in my life, and just didn't realize how good I had it, and it wasn't going to be that good again. Let me top this little cocktail off. Brought beer for everyone. Prove it. I want to hear a ding dong at my bell. Better have a 6-pack at least. What you drinking, Mega Noise? Gary Oldman did Sam Neill was amazing in Possession. A lot of people have been talking about Possession. I think there have been some pretty big boutique releases of that. And then, obviously, with Sam Neill passing, people bring it up again. What are they remaking? Did I miss something? What are they remaking? Are they remaking a Gary Oldman film? Oh, Possession. They're remaking Possession? I think that's a bad idea. They got to stop with the remakes. I mean, the remake is... It is, I don't know, self-fulfilling prophecy isn't the right word for it, but it's kind of like that. Because you really only want to remake something that's well-known. The point of the remake is that, like, everybody's heard of Star Wars. They're not remaking Star Wars, but you know what I mean. If they add a new Star Wars movie, if they make a new Star Wars movie, it's like everybody already knows about Star Wars and has preconceived notions about Star Wars. Theoretically, it's got a large built-in fan base. And so when you remake something that's really well known, the idea is that it's going to be easy to market this. It's going to be easy to sell tickets. On the other hand, remaking something that's less well known or even something that was disliked the first time around, it wasn't very popular, that feels like, well, no one's going to want to come see this piece of shit. I'm remaking the piece of shit. No, everybody thought it was a piece of shit. If I remake the piece of shit, everyone's just going to think it's another piece of shit. So, nobody wants to remake something that's crummy, even though that's probably what they should do. They should go, like, remake something like Song of the South that you're never going to let people see ever again. Like, that thing's so buried in the Disney vault. They're probably going to sue me just for saying it on this stream. So, anyway, that's what they need to do. They need to remake stuff that you could actually improve it, but they won't ever do that. So the remake winds up, the self-fulfilling prophecy part is that you've remade something popular like Snow White. Now it's hugely popular. You could never do right. Either you remake it like this Moana live action where it's like basically a shot-for-shot remake. And Gus Van Sant ought to have taught us that lesson in 1995 or 1996, whatever year that was, that he did a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho. Like, just because you do a shot-for-shot remake and use color this time, the idea is like you're going to piss people off, because if you just do a shot-for-shot remake, then you're not adding anything. You're not saying anything different. It feels like a cash grab, and everyone's like, what's the point? I should just watch the original one that I love so much. But then if you change a bunch of stuff, like you make the 7 dwarves the 7 magical creatures because you don't want to have dwarves in the movie, and Snow White doesn't have a prince anymore, and you just change everything, then people get pissed because they're like, what the fuck is this? This is not even Snow White anymore, because you changed the story so much that it's this whole new thing. You're slapping Snow White on the name. So anyway, that's the problem with remakes. Remakes are always going to have that issue. It's always going to be a problem for remakes anyway. Yeah. What up, Chase? What's good, man? I thought I saw your name in here. I got to do some catching up. I'm doing a very poor job staying up with the chat, which is kind of a good sign, I guess. That actually means that there's enough people in here that it's like kind of moving fast. That's good. Man, you guys are making me jealous. I needed to go see Spider-Man. My wife was like, hey, let me take you out to go see. I mentioned I don't know if it was a previous live or a previous video, like some of my output lately has been sparse. I haven't been making as many videos as frequently as I would like, but I've had like a giant academic project, like really big, like it was coming to a head in the month of July, and I just finished it. Finally, like years in the making, finally finished it. So my wife is like, let's go celebrate. I'm going to take you out wherever you want to eat. What do you want to do? I'm like, we're going to see a movie. So I don't know. We might wind up going to see Spider-Man for that. And Chase, yeah, you probably should be asleep. 4:45. Ooh, that's early. I was up at 4:45 last night. My oldest daughter was like, hey, I'm awake. Sorry, Daddy, I can't sleep. Whew, had to hold a pillow over her head for a minute. Good long minute there. Volume is good now. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad I fixed it. Chase Street, what's up, man? Chase Street. Let me tell you guys what Chase Street did in the month of July. This man bought 357 movies in the month of July. That's what he told me anyway, and I believe him. I wouldn't say I'm gullible, but, I'm optimistic. I like to think the best of people. He told me he bought 357 movies, or 358. He went ham in July. The man definitely went in hard, went in very hard. Kind of the opposite of me and date night with my wife. I don't think I've ever gone in hard. Yeah. We got some Possession fans in the audience tonight. I think that's awesome. I can't believe 4:45 is early. That is what happens when you've got a child playing competitive sports at a high level, because, you got to be up early on a Saturday. Damn. I used to get up pretty early on Saturdays to train in Chinese martial arts, but, that was like, I'd start training at like 7 a.m. So, I'd be up at like 6. So 4:45 is that's like a whole different beast. Going back to Krull, yeah, let's circle back to Krull. Check out the 4K, if at least for that amazing spider sequence. Oh, yeah, I've been looking forward to watching the 4K. I'm just wondering if I should eat psychedelics before watching that or not. They use the entire Pinewood Studios, yeah. Yep. I need to rewatch Krull. Oh, cool, man. Beyond Z got two daughters as well, man. Our sperms are thinking the same exact thing, man. Just X chromosomes all the way. It is what it is. I think it's because of all the steroids I used to do, but I need to go into all of my previous illegal activities. Something wicked this way comes. I do too. Wow, you saw it in the theater as a kid? Holy shit. I'm jelly. What was that, like 1982? It was like 82? So, wow, you must have been pretty young. Unless I'm way off on that date, but I want to say it's like early 80s, 82-ish, plus or minus a year. I would imagine that would scare you. It's definitely on my short list of movies that I'm like, can I show this to my oldest daughter yet? Like, is she ready for it yet? I joked around that I was going to show her Jaws when my wife was out of town. My wife is like, the fuck no, you don't. Absolutely the fuck not. I better not come home and she's wet in the bed at 7 years old because you made her watch Jaws. So, I didn't, but I kind of still want to. Like, I wanted to wake her up at midnight, like just go shake her. You know, she's like, Daddy, you smell like beer. I'd be like, come on, it's time to watch Jaws. You know, like it's finally time. Like I'm going to induct you into the secret society of people who watch Jaws way too young. Anyway, I thought about it. I thought that'd be fun, but yeah. Spider-Man 2, huh? Oh. Was it that good? I mean, was it better than all the other Tom Holland Spider-Mans? How does it rank amongst like the MCU-based Tom Holland Spider-Mans? That's what I want to know. I would love to see that. I would love to see Disney get back into physical media a little bit more seriously. You know, they've always been ones to like keep shit in the vault. They're like, you know, back in the day, this diamond platinum VHS is the only time you're going to be able to buy The Lion King. So if you don't buy The Lion King in the next 2 months, then you're a piece of shit parent and your kids will hate you because you're going to be watching Temu Lion King because Disney keeps their shit in the vault. So, Mouth of Madness. Who did Mouth of Madness recently? I feel like there's ringing a bell, but also like, you know, I'm working on my second one of these. So, Mouth of Madness. All right. Yeah, I mean, thank you. They do. $150 is pretty disgusting for a Blu-ray. Like, you don't have to sell the thing for $7, but like that's what a used Blu-ray goes for. $7, $8 maybe. Unless it's this super rare thing that has a very high demand. Then you can charge $150 and some dipshit out there will buy it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, okay? There's a lot of laws and ethics based around that idea. Just because you can, you could push somebody into spending $150. Even $50 feels kind of, that's just wild. Anyway, crazy. Man, I'm way behind on this chat. The Claremont, yeah. Some people know about the Claremont. More people need to know about the Claremont. As far as Arrow goes, I chose this comment, and I'm sorry everybody else, but I chose this comment because I did want to talk a little bit about the Arrow releases today, the announcement. They weren't released today, but they were announced today for October, I think, right? Is it October or is it November already? I don't know. What month is it now? It's July, but it's almost August. So what were they announcing for October today? I don't know. It's not important. I shouldn't get hung up on that artistically, but I will if I linger too much. I do think Arrow has definitely been doing some re-releases of some other stuff. I think they're definitely like a good funnel to the UK for stuff that gets released over here. And for some reason, I have no idea what Kino's presence is in the UK or Shout/Scream Factory. Kino, I don't know, both of them seem large enough that they seem like they ought to do business overseas in the UK in the way that Criterion does, Criterion being a US-based company that does business and releases things to the UK market, like officially. It seems weird that Scream and Shout Factory, particularly now that they've got all that venture capital behind them, that they wouldn't expand into other territories, especially English-speaking ones. But it does feel like Arrow gets a lot of stuff that was put out over here. Like they're doing all of the Hong Kong cinema classics. They've obviously got a deal with Shout. Because Shout just owns that Golden Princess stuff outright. If Shout was pissed off at Arrow, I'm not sure that Shout would play nice with them when it comes to stuff like City on Fire and Hard Boiled and The Killer. The fact is, I think based on the Hong Kong cinema classic stuff that I believe Shout just owns, they just own like worldwide the license too. I'm not sure that they would license that stuff over to Arrow. If they thought Arrow was like stabbing them on the back with other stuff. But it does seem like, they've got a relationship going. It might be easier to just let Arrow do the release in the UK and not worry about it. You know, let Arrow do the release and we don't have to worry about expanding our business into the UK and, all the paperwork and headache and shit that comes with that. So Seb951, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate the congratulations. I do appreciate everybody who watches videos. You know, I obviously I've been monetized long enough to make less than $100 off of my YouTube channel, just for complete open candor. So it has not been, and I've been doing this channel for like, I don't know, 2.5 years. It's been a while. So one could not call this a profitable venture in any way. And yet, I do often appreciate the comments that I get from people when people were like, holy shit, like I legitimately like laughed my ass off at that video. Like when I'm able to amuse people, it also makes me wonder if I'm here to talk about movies or if I'm here to make people laugh, and like movies are just kind of the vehicle, the topic for conversation. Because sometimes I really do enjoy more making some grotesque, but somewhat clever joke that I'm worried that YouTube is gonna ban my channel over or something like that. It tends to be the most fun. But obviously, the reward coming from this channel over the last 2.5 years has been an emotional one. It's been here in the heart. It certainly hasn't been in the wallet. I spent way more money than I'll make back on this channel on just this silly camera. So I'm here for the lulz is what it is. I'm here to make people laugh and act like an idiot. There's a lot of things that I can say on this channel that I can't really say. Like I said, I got a wife and 2 daughters. Like, it's a pretty sanitized household, except for like tonight, my daughter in the car was like, yeah, you're right. This is shit. I'm like, oh my God. Like, how do I feel like such a hypocrite when I'm like, you're 7, don't say that, but I say it all the time. So also I'm like a grizzled old man. When you're a grizzled old man and I'm dead, you can say whatever you want, but it still kind of makes me feel a bit like a hypocrite, to put it that way, you know? Yeah. I would say any plans for Something Wicked This Way Comes on a 4K are, I wouldn't say they exist now. I mean, Disney, it's not like they're not putting anything out. They're just slow about it. So, you know, we get 4Ks of stuff that they own. Tombstone, you know, other stuff. I'm sure we'll see some stuff, but the way that they're doing it so slowly and just kind of like, it almost feels like just like a handful of titles every year. I'm not sure that Something Wicked This Way Comes is like up there on that list. I mean, I think that one works pretty well as like a bare bones Blu-ray that's part of this like Disney movie club or whatever, but I don't know how like a $55 chunky box. I mean, I would buy it for sure day one, but I'm not sure how many other crazy people are out there who would buy $55 Something Wicked This Way Comes 4K chunky box with a booklet and all that shit. So thinking about making my daughter watch that one. I don't know if this is the year or I'll let her get a little bit older, but definitely Something Wicked This Way Comes is definitely on my list for like, I want to freak my kid out. Sometimes I just do want to show her something that's going to scare the shit out of her, but I'm going to get my wife pissed if I do that. I fed her the first time I fed her a jalapeno. Oh my God. Can't believe I'm going to tell you guys this. It was before my second daughter was born. So my first daughter must have been, I don't know, 1 or 2 years old, very young. And she indicated that she wanted to try a jalapeno. I was like, hey, you want to try a jalapeno? It was just it was the little pickled ones, the little tiny sliced pickle ones. And I cut it in half and it was like tamed. Like it wasn't even like a very spicy one. And she liked it. She didn't even freak out. She thought it was good. And my wife was like, you motherfucker. Like she was mad I fed her a jalapeno, but I'm like, look, she was fine. Like she didn't hate it. She ate the jalapeno just fine. Anyway, that's why I don't show my kids scary movies, even though I kind of want to traumatize my kids with scary movies, but oh well. Yeah, I'm not sure that Disney's going to cut a deal. I'm not sure that Disney wants to cut a deal. I think they're like all in on streaming. And I think they're just going to be real bearish with physical media and I don't think that this is unique to Disney, but they see physical media as kind of a competitor. Like all of us crazy people out there that own 2,000 movies, that's like 2,000 movies that I don't need to stream because I've got good quality discs that I can put in and I can enjoy better quality than streaming, no buffering, no commercials if it's Amazon Prime or something like that, because I refuse to give Amazon any more money just to get rid of the commercials. Fuck them for that. I think they see that as kind of a competition. So, is this coming out this fall? I'll go see that. I'll go see The Great Sis Detective. Why not? I don't know what it's about, but I almost took my kids to go see Sheep Detectives. Has anybody seen Sheep Detectives? I don't know why the word detective triggered me, but I got pretty close, but then we wound up doing something else. They were like sort of halfway interested, and at their age, they get restless. And if we're watching a movie at home, I can push pause and they can run around in circles for a half hour if they want to, go eat a snack, take a shit, take a nap, and come back to the movie. Obviously, in a theater, you can't do any of that. So I'm very cautious, too, about what I take them to go see. So I almost took them to Sheep Detectives, but because it looked cute, and I heard it was pretty decent. So anyway. 5 out of 10. Jared says 5 out of 10. So that's kind of middle of the road, but that's not great. I mean, like a 5 out of 10, I'm not buying that day one. I'm not buying the deluxe Steelbook, whatever, of a 5 out of 10. I might not even buy a 5 out of 10 because I might not rewatch a 5 out of 10. I might just be happy that I had that experience, that I saw it once. But, oh, yeah. Those Vestron Blu-rays, I don't know, they might even be region-free. Blu-ray.com would probably tell you the region of that. Even if it's not printed on the materials on the packaging for that release, it might just be on the Blu-ray.com website. So, all right, let me try to catch up on these chats. Oh my gosh, look at that! Thank you very much, my man. Drink this one for you. My man Chase, AV Pop Culture. What a mensch. I do appreciate you. I got to say, I probably wouldn't have hit 1K if it weren't for this guy right here. Did everybody get all of the things that he promised you for entering in the Get Me to 1K giveaway subscription? I hope so. I don't doubt it, but I mean, definitely appreciate that push. I'm gonna ruin my liver in your honor for sure. God, I hope my kids sleep through the night tonight. That's going to be bad. What up, Carrie? How you doing, man? What up, Carrie? Eli. My dude. What's good, Eli? How's everybody feel about the Arrow announcements? I feel like I was excited because when they posted that image of the VHS cassettes that they were like lining up as like that was like the hint they posted, I don't know, yesterday or whatever. I thought it's got to be Enter the Video Store 2 because it's multiple VHS, which is like multiple movies. It's a set plus VHS is like old school. Enter the Video Store is like old school movies that you would have rented back in the day in the late 80s or early 90s on VHS. So I got excited, of course. And when they dropped it, the announcement today, I was excited. I was like, oh, cool. And then I opened it up and looked at the movies and I was like, all right, I hadn't heard of none of these shits. I'm not sure I've seen any of them. So I'm just hoping, like I'm keeping an open mind on Enter the Video Store. I'm almost certainly going to purchase Enter the Video Store. I think it'll be pretty reasonably priced on Amazon. And so I'll almost certainly pre-order that and get that like, day one. I'm just hoping that like I find a couple of gems in there because I'm not hyped about it. I don't know the movies well enough to be hyped about them right now. Frighteners I do not own, so I'll be happy to own Frighteners. I resisted importing any of the overseas sets. I just thought somebody's going to do this one domestically, and it's going to be really good. So I'm just going to wait for the domestic, and I waited longer than I thought. But and also it's not even a chunky box, which is weird. It's just odd that they would release that one. I mean, that seems like kind of a bigger one. Why wouldn't you release it in a chunky box? But okay, oh well, I'll still get it. And it'll cost me $5 less for the fact that it's not in a chunky box, so fine. Last Boy Scout, also, we've been waiting on that for a long time. That one never even got a Blu-ray, so that one should be a chunky box as well. I feel like that one should be a chunky box as well. No chunky box on Last Boy Scout. And what was the other one? There were a few UK ones that, I've already got. Some, maybe if the special features are really great, then I might swap out to the Arrow version. I really liked the artwork on the Cujo 4K. that arrows. I think it beats the hell out of the Kino. If you guys know the Kino artwork, it's pretty, plain Jane. I thought the custom artwork that they had for the Cujo release today it looked pretty sick. I much prefer that artwork. So who knows? Maybe upgrade that just to have the better artwork that I prefer. Future World. Yeah. The sequel to Westworld. Westworld got a chunky box. Future World is not getting a chunky box. What the hell is this, you assholes? Like, stay consistent, please. If you can give Tremors 2 a chunky box, like, we're talking about the company that gave Tremors 2 a chunky box to keep it consistent with Tremors 1. When you're doing chunky boxes for Tremors 2, don't tell me you can't give me a chunky box for Future World after giving me a chunky box on Westworld. You didn't have to give me a chunky box on Westworld. Oh, man, I can feel my blood pressure rising. I want to yell about this, but I'm not gonna. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave it at that. I'll buy a few of them. I'm not super excited about any of them, but I will definitely buy a few of them. Got to have Last Boy Scout. It's been so long since I've seen that. I mean, I had a DVD. I had one of the little snapper cardboard DVD case, like the real old ones. Might have not have even been anamorphic widescreen. It might have been just like, one of those weird like 4:3 widescreen deals that look really strange on a modern, 16:9 television. And anyway, I'm definitely going to get that one. So, I'm not going to complain. Yeah, they're doing a lot of re-releases, but that's okay because it saves me money. When they do re-releases, I don't have to scramble to try to get some, pre-order some shit before it goes out of print or whatever. So anyway, I'm not too worried about that. Oh, Carrie, this is relevant to my interest because, the Gremlins movie, I mean, I've thought about it. Could be a lot of fun. It's kind of funny in places, but I don't know, like the gremlin in the blender, the gremlin in the microwave, some of the stuff feels a little, and then, the gremlin with the chainsaw trying to saw through the bat at the end it's a little intense. So I don't know. I might wait a little bit on Gremlins. I'm just wondering, like, like all of you do, I have stacks of movies and some of which have been my favorite since I was a kid. And it's like, I don't want to miss showing her some of these movies when she's a kid, both of them really. Just the older one's a little bit closer to ready for some of this stuff. And so, I'm always just wondering, like, is it the right time? Should I wait a year? If I wait too long, then she's going to be like, I'm too cool for this shit, Dad. I don't want to watch the Goonies, or something like that. I don't want to watch Back to the Future. But then also, like, his mom kisses him in Back to the Future. And I'm just like, I don't know. There's that weird incest kind of, she doesn't know it's her son. So she kind of wants to bone her own kid. And it's like, that's putting me off. Like, I need to give her at least another 1 or 2 years before the mom wanting to bone her own son thing. Like, I don't know. I want her to be able to wrap her mind around that and, like, laugh at it, I guess. But, what does it mean? Perhaps, maybe. I don't know. I'm late to that party, so I have no idea. I can't comment. I do generally tend to find Chase's opinion on things pretty good, though. If there's a movie that I haven't seen, we line up on movies very well. So if there's a movie that I haven't seen and he says, oh, you would enjoy that, I definitely have found that to be pretty spot on. I think 99 times out of 100, I do enjoy a film if he says, oh, I think you would like that. I think I like it. It's usually. I can't answer this question either because I don't buy VSUs when they're new because they're like $45 new. I wait a little while till they go on sale, and then I buy them when they're on sale for like, I don't know, $32 or whatever. I try to save money on these things. So I get them later on down the line. Sorry about that. My stupid Dexcom was beeping. It's type 1 diabetes. I recommend against getting diabetes, guys. So, Explorers 4K, I will wind up grabbing that 4K because I buy all of the VSUs, but I get them when they go on sale. So, my most recent VSU is Congo. Can you believe that? I don't have anything newer than Congo. Golden Child will probably be the next one that I pick up because it's got the lowest numbers, and that's just my strategy, is get them when they're on sale or get them before they go out of print, and then prioritize by the number that remain anytime I have that info. So, what up? What up? Oh yeah, People versus Larry Flint on 4K. I keep forgetting that one. Is that one out yet, or is that coming out like later on this month? I don't know if I've seen anybody like post a picture that they have that or not, but I should check. It was not at my Barnes & Noble. I went to my Barnes & Noble yesterday. Fuck, what day is it? I went to my Barnes & Noble yesterday, and the problem with living in like semi-rural Maine, like Stephen King country, like small town Maine, is that you have to drive a little ways to find a Barnes & Noble. So I have two Barnes & Nobles equidistant from me. One is north, the other is south, but they're both about 40, 45 minutes away from me. So fortunately, I had some other business that I needed to attend to in Portsmouth. So I drove to the Newington Barnes & Noble, which happens to be in New Hampshire, which is great because if you're going to buy a Kubrick box set in November, as I am, for $300, and you don't want to pay sales tax on a $300 purchase because who does? Fuck the police. I'm not paying sales tax if I don't have to. I'm going to take my happy ass to the Barnes & Noble in Portsmouth in Newington and not pay any sales tax on a $300 purchase. So that's just smart thinking. You know, you want to give away money, be my guest, but there's a lot of good people with Patreons right in this room that, you know, if you really feel like giving away money, there's some creative folks in this chat that have Patreons that'll, you know, better to give it to one of them than the federal government. But at any rate, they did not have the People versus Larry Flint there. They had a copy of Inner Space, and I was there to get that. I knew they had the copy of Inner Space because I saw on their website that they had one at that store. I was down there doing some other business anyway, which I'll tell you what business I was down there doing pretty soon. I got to get my sex change operation, so I was meeting with the doctor. Just kidding. But anyway, I went in to get it, and they had it in one of these, they call it like the, what do they call it? They call it like a spider. What do they call the thing? It's a spider. It's a theft prevention tool. And I'll show you guys what it looks like. It looks like this. It's like a spider tag. I think they call it a spider tag. So it's got those black bands that you see. You see those black bands that connect those two little plastic pieces that go on either end of the movie. This Barnes & Noble, my Barnes & Noble had every single one of the 4K chunky boxes in one of these, which is fine. I understand that you want to protect your inventory. I am sensitive to loss prevention because I don't want Barnes & Noble to stop selling physical media. So that's what the thing looks like. You guys have probably seen them before at retail establishments. I don't want Barnes & Noble to lose money on physical media and stop selling it. On the other hand, that thing was so tight on their copy of Inner Space that it was actually cutting into the cardboard. I mean, it was cutting into that O card around the chunky box, and it was cutting into it so deeply that I think it might have dented and damaged the chipboard slipcase underneath the O card. So I'm sitting here thinking, great that the thing's on sale for $30. It's also $30 at Amazon or $33 at Amazon. And I don't have to worry about it being underneath one of those spider tags at a warehouse because it's not a retail establishment, it's a warehouse. So they don't have the same loss prevention tools there. So I just thought this thing that they're using to prevent losses is ironically also going to prevent sales. Like that copy of Inner Space is never going to sell. That's going to be the last copy of Inner Space to ever sell because people who are going and buying chunky box sets of a Joe Dante movie from the 1980s on 4K are autistic collectors like us, crazy people who want their cardboard to be in good shape. No collector is going to drive to a Barnes & Noble to buy a fucked up copy of Inner Space brand new at full retail. It's never going to happen. So the thing that prevents its loss to theft is also going to prevent its sale to the type of people that buy movies in this day and age. So it really is unfortunate. It really is too bad that I was there to buy it. I was going to buy it, but I walked out. And they didn't have Falling Down on 4K. They had Falling Down on Blu-ray, but Come on. Why would I buy a Blu-ray when a perfectly good 4K is available? So it really is unfortunate that that Barnes & Noble was using those things. I need to, like, I don't know, I need to email the manager or something and be like, dude, you're gonna have a hard time selling these things, these chunky box sets that people like. You're gonna have a very hard time selling them because they're all dug into, because you put this thing on so damn tight. Like, put them in the, you go to Walmart and you buy like a Steelbook at Walmart. It's in that plastic case. It's like a clear plastic box that you could put the thing inside, or put it behind the cashier at the point of sale at the POS. You could have a nice display of chunky boxes right over the shoulder of the broad who rings you up at Barnes & Noble. And then it's at the point of sale. You don't have to lock the thing down because it's behind the cashier. There's no way somebody's going to get it from behind her and stuff it down their pants at the cash register. I would much rather Interspace be right behind her and for me to say, hey, can I have that copy of Interspace, please? For it to be like all chewed up and bit up and shit. So it was really unfortunate experience for me, because just nobody's going to want to buy that thing. And I'm going to feel bad for whoever does, whoever buys that out of desperation, because they're having a hard time in 6 months finding a copy of Interspace in the chunky box. It's just terrible. Terrible. I'm going to assume, because I'm narcissistic and egotistical, that you're talking about me, in which case, thank you. Please continue. Just kidding. I love you, Eli. I wonder how true this is in terms of syncing. I wonder what's going to happen. It's going to be an interesting, year or two. I think eventually people will start talking about other things. The Odyssey will leave theaters. The theatrical run will eventually end. Other stuff will happen. Other stuff will come out. They'll make other things that sort of capture the zeitgeist, and people will turn their ire and attention towards those things. And I just wonder, I think with the amount of money Odyssey has made, I don't think Nolan, especially with his track record, he's gotten an Academy Award now as Best Director for Oppenheimer. So it really feels kind of like he's pretty well set, at least for the time being. Like, I think the only thing that really breaks Nolan is if he makes a couple of like really big, very expensive epics like the Odyssey, a very expensive film, very expensive to make, very expensive to market, very high threshold for breaking even, very high break even point. So if he makes, he'd have to do more than one that tank. I mean, there's people that have tanked Marvel movies that are still going to get to, like James Gunn is going to get to make a movie again just because Supergirl ate shit. And Dwayne Johnson, just because Moana ate shit, the live action, I don't think Dwayne Johnson is done. I think, they'll let him have a mulligan. I think they're going to let Nolan have at least one mulligan. So he'd have to lose some money, he'd have to lose a good chunk of money on a couple of films, I think, before his career is really donezo. Although I think some of the discourse surrounding the Odyssey currently, and this is a movie that I can't talk much about because I haven't seen it yet, but I think a lot of the discourse around the Odyssey has kind of revealed that, I mean, he's really more of a technical guy. He works well on stuff like The Dark Knight and Oppenheimer. Really, Oppenheimer is probably one of the best examples of this, because there's this very technical level. There's a technical level of filmmaking. There's the technicalities of the story as they're basically trying to create this atomic bomb that I think he really excels at. Obviously, production value and stuff is always going to be great in a Nolan film. But I don't know that, like, in terms of emotions, like, I'm not sure I've ever been moved to tears in a Nolan film. I'm not sure I've ever felt emotion welling up in my throat. And I've definitely felt that in Moana. I think, as silly as it sounds, this one's coming out on Criterion soon, hopefully. K-pop Demon Hunters has a better, like, the emotional side of the story, like the resonance, the pulling the audience in, and like you feel what the characters feel, and you feel that sense of like empathy and connection with the characters. I think K-pop Demon Hunters does a better job than Christopher Nolan does. I just don't think that's his forte. I don't think it's something he's really tried to do, and I don't think it's something that he's really excelled at. And I don't know that that's a knock against him, because it's like different strokes for different folks, and people still enjoy the shit out of his movies. They just happen to be a little bit more cerebral than emotional, in my opinion. And so I think the discourse around the Odyssey has really kind of opened people's eyes to that recently, to think back on his films and think, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, his characters aren't quite the same as some of these other films that maybe have a little bit more of an emotion to them, but maybe don't make as much sense technically or aren't as polished technically as some of Nolan's film. Hit 800 millions today. Yeah, I mean, I think they're making money from the looks of it. I mean, I haven't really followed their box office, but last time I looked it up was like a week ago, and it seemed like they were doing pretty good. So, who knows what's going to happen to that one in time. Time will tell, you know, how much that thing becomes like a beloved, like, oh, this is a classic we still talk about 20, 25 years from now, or if it's something that was sort of a hot topic politically at the time, and, you know, as time passed, you know, people didn't argue and fight each other about it so much. But anyway, okay, Jared, you watch Sheep Detectives with the family. It's on Amazon, right? My wife has Prime, so I'm gonna make my kids watch. I want to make my kids watch Sheep Detectives soon, but probably not before they have made me watch every single one of these stupid Buddies movies. I told you guys I was going to tell you about the business that I was in Portsmouth and Newington for. So I went to Newington. Because there is a bull moose right across the street from the Barnes & Noble. Pretty dangerous combo. And this is kind of where my kids are at for films, right? Like, they're enjoying the shit out of the Buddies movies. They're talking dog movies where there's like fart jokes. It's actually a lot of fart jokes. I'm like, a lot of fart jokes for, like, this is supposed to be for kids. It's kind of a lot of fart jokes, but there's like fart jokes and talking dogs, and they have adventures, and they're all mostly pretty safe, and they're all pretty terrible. And yet, like, this is like, that's their speed. Like, they would rather watch Air Buddies. I now have all 7 of the Buddies movies. Not the Air Bud movies itself, but like the Buddies movies where it's like Air Bud's kids, like Air Bud boned the dog next door. And they had these, but look, I mean, it was $6 to buy this DVD. The shit made my daughter very happy. She had seen this at camp or something like that. And she was like, oh, that movie was amazing. It had these talking dogs. It took me 2 days to figure out what movie she was even talking about. But when I finally learned it was Air Buddies, and she was watching it on YouTube free with ads, I was like, no, please, we don't watch ads. It's not something we do around here. I went to I went to Bull Moose before going to the Barnes & Noble across the street, but I was in Portsmouth anyway to buy a stack of Air Buddies movies for like $6 or $7 each. So I bought all of the Air Buddies movies, and her birthday is next week, so I'm going to give her another one. I gave her one last night. We watched Treasure Buddies last night. Really pretty horrible movie, but like not that bad either, really. Like, it's not offensive. It's just kind of like, I'm watching a movie about talking dogs that go to Egypt to prevent an evil cat from getting a magical necklace that would allow her to rule the earth. Because nobody wants an ugly, wrinkly, bald cat ruling the earth. So, anybody out there seen Air Buddies? I'm guessing we're probably too old. I think the first Air Buddies movie came out in 2006. In 2006, I had already graduated. I already had 2 degrees from University of Georgia in 2006. So I was not really in the demographic for Air Buddies, but I imagine there are probably a lot of like 27 and 28-year-olds right now. A lot of people that are like getting close to 30 that are like, Air Buddies is my jam, like very nostalgic about the Air Buddies films because they were the right age. Like I said, if everything lines up, I mean, if I had been 7 years old in 2006 when Air Buddies came out, I'm sure it would be my favorite. I would think about it like, now I would think about it the way I think about The Dark Crystal or The Neverending Story, like a movie that I just loved as a kid. I'm sure there are people out there that have those warm feelings about the Air Buddies movies, but unfortunately, you know, I can't go back in time and watch Air Buddies as a kid. I could only ever have watched it as an adult, and watching it as an adult, is pretty bad. But at the same time, it's like she's enjoying it. Like, I don't know. I'll buy all the stupid Air Buddies movies, and eventually I'll get around to waking her up at midnight to go watch Jaws. I told her I was going to make her watch the 1936 version of Dracula this Halloween, though. I might hold her to that because I don't think that one's too bad. I always hit her with that line, I never drink wine. She has no, I mean, I've told her where it's from, but she's got no idea. Chase looks like he pre-ordered Last Boy Scout Cujo, end of the videos. Okay, so he basically got everything. Is that everything? I think that's is that everything they announced? I think that he might have just pre-ordered everything that they announced. So, you know, you can complain, I think, about some of the decisions that Arrow makes and their re-releases, and people are a lot less excited about a re-release, but I think Arrow's definitely like, we love you, Chase, right about now. So that's cool. Okay, 6 out of 10. All right, well, so you guys are like sort of, no one has told me that they hated it. So I got a 5 out of 10 and a 6 out of 10 here. I thought you would give it a 7 out of 10, honestly, Chase. But my buddy Matt, I think he's like 9.5 out of 10. He was glazing that movie pretty hard, I will say. Sheep Detectives is good. Okay, cool. I'm glad you've seen Sheep Detectives. I'm going to make them watch it soon. Maybe when they lose a little steam on the Buddies movies, I'll make them watch Sheep Detectives. I'll say, all right, we've been watching a lot of movies about a lot of talking dogs. Maybe now you would like to watch a movie about some talking sheep. It's got Wolverine in it for a little bit. 7 out of 10. Okay. You're bringing the average up a little bit, kind of canceling out that 5. Oh, man. If you did, I'd have to donate a kidney or something. We'd have to raise some money for that. Nobody wants my organs. Yeah, Avatar's pretty bad. I have just no desire to watch Avatar. I've only seen the first one, and yeah, I understand that it's like largely the Chinese market that has made those things huge. More power to him. I think James Cameron is kind of a hack these days, though. I think Titanic was sort of the turning point in his career. I think everything before that is pretty good, although I think he's got his head up his own ass. I mean, I think nobody loves James Cameron more than James Cameron loves James Cameron. But at least there was just enough cocaine, and I guess he was still like not rich enough yet in the 80s that like he had to do good work. And so he did good work until Titanic, and then it was just kind of like, hey, I'm fucking king shit of Hollywood, basically, and I make the highest grossing movies of all time, and that's just kind of what I do, even though I'm ripping off Fern Gully and Dances with Wolves and all that other shit. You know, I don't really feel like there's a lot new about Avatar. I think more than anything, we talk about Dwayne Johnson fatigue, we talk about superhero fatigue, but I think more than anything, people are getting like CG fatigue. That kind of comes out in a lot of the vitriol about AI artwork and using AI to make drawings or paintings that people would previously have done by hand. And, you know, there's a lot of people, a lot of groups on Facebook and stuff like that that are very anti-AI in artwork. And I'm sure it will be films and stuff as well once those become a little bit more commercially, you know, once you start seeing movies made with AI, at least in part, start to hit like big distribution, theatrical or whatever. I'm sure people will complain about it then in movies, but yeah, just lost that one a little bit, but yeah. Time will prove all. Citizen Kane was a bomb on release. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that bombs. I wonder about stuff. I'm sure there's stuff that's like the opposite, where it made tons of money, it did great, everybody said good things about it, and then 30 years later, everyone's like, that movie sucks. I'm sure there are examples of that out there, but it seems like the reverse is usually true. It's like Roger Ebert talks shit about Blade Runner, the original Ridley Scott Blade Runner, and he's like, thumbs down. It's no good. Don't go see it. And then like 30 years goes by and he's just had enough of people writing him letters like, hey, man, why did you say thumbs down to Blade Runner? It's a fucking classic now. And he just finally has to come out and be like, yo, I rewatched Blade Runner. I changed my opinion. Please leave me alone and stop sending me letters. Like literally that happened with Ebert. I think he did. He probably wrote something more eloquent than what I wasn't a direct quote that I was just saying. But basically he said, you know, like critics sometimes have to reevaluate films and, you know, sometimes hindsight is 20/20 and you look back and you realize that, you know, you kind of messed up the first review. Like he came out and said, okay, obviously the consensus and time has proven that Blade Runner is a classic and I didn't make the right call originally, but that's okay. And so I feel like there's a lot that go that way, the Blade Runner way, where it's like it's kind of a bomb on release. It didn't really do well, but like the world wasn't ready for it yet or something like that. And that once people found it and were ready for it, it builds steam over years and years, maybe decades, and becomes the cult classic or even something. I wouldn't call Blade Runner a cult classic anymore. I think it maybe at one point in time as people were discovering it on VHS, it was, but you know, things that were flops originally or panned by critics originally that they then came around and like, yeah, that Citizen Kane thing, I guess. Turns out that Orson Welles guy wasn't a hack after all. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't know any of them. So, I you know, it seems like they're going a different route. Like the first one was more horror, and this one is going to be like revenge tales that focus around revenge type of thing, you know, like a Death Wish kind of payback type of stories. And I enjoy those too. So, you know, hopefully they'll be good ones at least. I'm trying to go into it with like an open heart. Maybe I'll find something to love in there. I don't know. Okay, yeah. I forgot Ghost Story Trilogy was announced today as well. I already got that from, I'm pointing at it, not that it does you guys any good because the camera's not pointed at it, but I got the one from Shout several months ago. And I don't even think I've watched any of them yet. I haven't seen them since the 90s. Oh, right. Furiosa. Tell me if that's good. That's like the only Mad Max related film that I have not seen. And I'm not a huge Mad Max guy. I'm more of a Fist of the North Star guy, but also like Kenshiro kind of stole Mad Max's drip. So, you know, got to appreciate the Road Warrior too. Yeah, I got to say, like, I don't know. I may be a voice of dissent here too, but like Troy, like last month's announcements, like Troy, people went nuts for Troy, and I'm just like, eh. But I didn't even really love that movie when I saw it in the theaters. I just remember thinking like, it was all right. I need to revisit it. Maybe I'll like it better because I was young and dumb back then. Now I'm old and dumb, but back then I was young and dumb, which is 2 strikes against me. Now I'm just dumb. It's just 1 strike against me. Yeah, neither have I. Tell me if it's good because I have not seen it. Yeah, I think this might be the one example of what I was just talking about where it goes the opposite direction. Like everybody loved The Force Awakens when it first came out, except me. But it seemed like people were like, oh yeah, Star Wars is back, baby. You know, it's back to feeling like it used to feel because that was basically a remake of A New Hope. But anyway, I think people have come around. Like after that trilogy concluded and it just left such a shitty taste in people's mouths. I think people have reappraised The Force Awakens and understood that it wasn't good and that they wanted to see Han and Luke and Leia on screen together again, not separate, spread out, not doing cool shit together, but basically being worthless old fucks in separate corners of the galaxy. You know, it's just too bad. It's just too bad. But that is one that maybe people have reappraised. I don't know. The cult movies that won't sell big get a chunky box. So you think the chunky box is used to increase sales? Like Wild Style. I was surprised they put Wild Style in a chunky box, to be honest, because I'm like, this is not a movie that's going to sell. Like, you know, it'll sell. People will buy it, but it's not. This isn't one that you have to pre-order because it's going to be gone on release day or something like Conan was. So I don't know. I guess maybe it could make sense that like we got to take this dog and put it in a chunky box to get it to sell. But I don't know. Just don't release the dogs, I guess. Or I don't know, because you don't want all the crummy movies. I'm using food service terms, but on a food service menu, manager food service would say, this meal that's not popular, this menu item, it's not popular, and it doesn't make us any money. It's not very profitable even when people do buy it. So it's the dog. It's just a problem. But we have it on the menu because it's like we're a German restaurant. If we don't have like liverwurst or something, then it's going to be a problem because we're a German restaurant. So it just has to be there, but it's not profitable and it's not popular either. And it seems like if you're going to do that with a movie like Wild Style or some other, it's a smaller cult, let's put it in a chunky box so that the crazy autistic collector guys will go out there and buy more copies of it. It also feels kind of like, I don't know, it feels like you're kind of undercutting. Like if you put Last Boy Scout, it's a popular movie that didn't even have a Blu-ray release, in a chunky box, it feels like it would elevate the hype a little bit more. Like Last Boy Scout already has some hype to it. You do the chunky box and because otherwise then every single Arrow chunky box would just be, a less popular Wild Style type of B movie that people weren't exactly clamoring for. And that would be all of your Arrow chunky boxes. And that would be a shame. You did get some hate on the Odyssey there. Again, I haven't seen it, so I can't really talk shit. It does kind of feel like in the argument, the argument has sort of been, particularly the argument around the casting choices, the Lupita Nyong'o casting choices specifically. A lot of the dialogue has been around, like, it has been around, like, well, why would you care type of thing. Like, if I'm defending Lupita's casting, then, I would tell people, like, well, it's a fantasy movie, and, why do you care? Are you some kind of bigot or something? And that sort of seems to be the counter argument to anyone who says, hey, I don't believe that a Kenyan actress would be playing a Greek. Anybody with that point of view, it's like, oh, well, you got to be a racist. But then also, I think a lot of that, it's just been, people fighting each other with different opinions on that. But it's sort of like, I'm looking at Christopher Nolan thinking, like, you had to have known that this was gonna, like, do what you do, cast who you want to cast. It's your movie, it'll sink or it'll swim, and time will tell, as we've already mentioned here. But it seems like you knew this was going to ruffle some feathers when you I mean, she's a Kenyan actress, right? Like, I mean, she's a U.S. citizen now. I believe she's got dual citizenships or something like that. I read about it about a month ago or so. But so she is a U.S. citizen now. She was not at every point in her life, and she is currently a Kenyan citizen as well, and grew up there. So it's like, okay, obviously, like, do you need to cast an African-American character? Then she's got a U.S. citizenship, that could work. Or do you need to cast a Kenyan character? She's got Kenyan citizenship, that would work too. And it seems like Christopher Nolan ought to have known better, that people were going to be, I don't know, like Greek people would be like, hey, like, I'm Greek, and, casting a Kenyan as a Greek might piss off the Greeks. But I'm not Greek. I don't got a dog in this fight, and I haven't seen the movie. So, I'm just going to sit over here like Michael Jackson in that GIF and just eat my popcorn and watch people go at it. That's going to be my approach. I will try not to. I don't think I got started too loud. The nice thing is, I will say, for my kids, they sleep pretty good. Barring last night, my daughter's just like, hey, it's 3 a.m. and I'm awake. I go back to sleep. I was up late recording. But I will say they're pretty good sleepers otherwise. A lot of jackasses driving by. We're like right on Main Street. So like a lot of jackasses drive by at 9 and 10 o'clock with like the motorcycles that don't have mufflers. And I'm like, Jesus, man, I'm trying to put a 7-year-old to sleep. They're like, I'll be rocking the my 4-year-old. I'm like, jeez, I'm trying to put a 4-year-old to sleep. Can you not be a douchebag after dark? So, oh yeah, we do this. That's a good call. Good call. Cause yeah, we do the Santa thing still. They're young. I'm a hypocrite because when I was younger, like if you'd asked me 15 years ago, you know, when I have kids, well, am I gonna like do the Santa thing? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna bullshit them. I don't want to lie to them because then they're gonna, you know, eventually they'll figure Santa out and then they'll look at me like, are you sure? You know, you kind of lied to me for a decade about Santa Claus, and you know, I never wanted to like ruin my credibility, but also it's just so flippin' cute. Like when they're young and they like get into it, I'm like, Santa's coming and blah blah blah. It's like, I don't know. It's too cute to kind of not. So I'll just have to apologize when they get older. But yeah, I'm definitely not doing like I still got a 4-year-old. She just turned 4, so I can't like if the older sister finds out and then she'll gonna be like pissed off at her younger sister one day and be like, Santa Claus ain't real, just to, you know, watch her cry or something like that. Like I can't give her that kind of ammunition. So, oh well. Since the kid were 7, okay. So my daughter will be. She's not 7 yet. She's 7 in a week. So she'll be 7, obviously at Christmas time. So grandma teaches not to stick your hand in blenders. I haven't had that problem yet, thankfully. My kids definitely try to hurt themselves by accident in a lot of ways, but thankfully, my oldest managed to cut her forehead open on one of those like metal grates in the road. She managed to cut her forehead, like right up here at her hairline. We had to go get stitches and everything. I was a mess that day, let me tell you something. Just to be, you know, completely candid about my emotional state that day. Many tears were shed that day. I think more by me than by her, because like I was right there when it happened. I was like, holy shit. Just bleeding, like, you know, I pick her up and it's just like, you know, it's holy shit. Like, you know, it's like the scalp, I guess, is just a really bleedy part of the body. You know, you get a little nick and, you know, just bleed like crazy anyway. I did not get Kill Bill yet. I'm playing it dangerously. That might be one of the next ones I pick up because I do want to get the limited edition because I am autistic about that type of thing. So I haven't yet. I thought the idea of putting a veil on a box was pretty silly. I almost recorded a whole video of it, but I hadn't seen it yet, like in real life. So I was like, I want to reserve judgment. I want to try to reserve judgment at least. But I have seen some pictures now and some video of people like unboxing, opening, and looking at it. Again, I still feel like a veil is a silly thing. I mean, I know she's the bride and brides wear veils and stuff, but it's not like she wears a veil at any point in that movie. Like, she doesn't play up the bride thing by wearing a veil when she's sword fighting people or something. So, I don't know. It just seemed a little silly to me, but oh well. You were only 50 off in terms of estimating the price. I think I was like $100 off. I don't know. I was just way too optimistic. I mean, honestly, it's a set that they could charge even more than, I think, what do they got it for on their website? Like $450? Is it $450 or something like that on the Criterion website? Yeah, so they could probably charge even more than that, just because it's Kubrick. He's always going to sell. So, I'm curious about this statement. The movies that sell big won't ever get a chunky box release from Arrow, but I feel like it's sort of a toss-up. I feel like it's 50-50 because, you know, you have some chunkies of really big selling movies, huge movies that weren't like a surprise, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, that whole Dollars trilogy. I know those were UK releases, but they were chunky box releases, and they did sell like that. Like, people were having a really hard time getting these. Online, they've got the Conan films were chunky boxes, and those are pretty popular movies. So it does seem like and Inglourious Bastards was, Inglourious Bastards sold quite quickly. Demolition Man is a fairly popular film. So it does feel like they've got some stuff like Wild Style, Excalibur. I mean, I think Excalibur and Red Sonja have been big enough sellers too in chunky boxes. So I don't know. It's weird. They'll sometimes do like a Wild Style. I was a little surprised Westworld got a chunky box, but then, you know, they'll do stuff like Conan. It only makes sense that they do chunky boxes for the Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan movies. So I don't know. I really feel like there's not much of a strategy there. and I don't understand why they're, why they do, how they make the decisions of like what to put in a chunky box and what not to. Because I can get it helping a smaller movie sell, but at the same time, you generate a lot of hype for those big ones too. Like when Conan was coming out, it was huge. So. Those spider things suck. Yeah, those spider things do suck. And I'm sure they work better on an item that's made out of materials that don't get damaged by the tension in those black bands. But obviously, anything made out of cardboard or paper, at this point in time, I think retailers need to be a lot more careful with that, because honestly, the people buying physical stuff now and into the future are going to be people like us who are collectors. And, a collector doesn't want to pay good money for something that's dinged up. You want to pay good money for something, and it's silly sometimes, talk to a normie like my wife or my brothers and tell them that you were upset that like the Kino movie that you ordered came with a dinged slipcover, and they'll look at me like I've lost my damn mind. Like they'll look at me like I just yanked my pants down and started yelling racial epithets. Like they really will just look at me like I'm a lunatic when I'm upset that the corner of a slipcover is dinged. But the normies don't care. My brothers haven't bought a movie in, 15 years. So I don't know. I kind of feel like the retailers need to get away from those spider tags, because crazy people are going to be the ones that are still buying paper and cardboard products. And obviously they're susceptible to damage from the tension of those things. But, oh well. Oh, you know what? I definitely thought about grabbing that at Bull Moose when I was there the other day. And it was $40. And I thought, oof, $40. Oh, I wonder if it's going to be used or pre-owned at some point. Maybe I could get it for half of that. So I don't know. Part of me's holding out like, yeah, it's not a Scream Steelbook is great. The Scream Steelbooks last forever. I mean, a year later, you can still buy them. They do stay in print for a long time. But, yeah, I don't know. This one's, what is it, a Sony release, right? Sony did that most recent Steelbook. So I don't know. Who knows what they're going to do. I'm hoping to find one used, because $40, man. I mean, maybe it's cheaper on Amazon, and I should look and do some price comparisons, because Bull Moose is not always the best price on brand new stuff. And in fact, I try not to buy brand new stuff from Bull Moose, because it's just like they wanted $225 for the Stranger Things 4K special edition box set, and you can get it on Amazon for $160. So not always the best price or most competitive price versus Amazon. So I should look around for that. I like to buy used movies from them. I mean, anytime they've got pre-owned, I mean, you're going to get a great deal on some pre-owned stuff. So yeah, I'll pick it up at some point. I will pick it up. Yeah, I passed on the Warriors Chunky as well. I already had the Blu-ray Steelbook, and so I was just like, I like the Warriors, but also like I've got the Blu-ray Steelbook and it's fine. So I've actually was hoping that I would bump into the new Arrow 4K Steelbook that was a Walmart exclusive. I was hoping I was going to bump into that at my local Walmart, and I never did. I never saw it at my local Walmart. I did see the Conan one, but I have already got the Conan chunky boxes. I've got no desire to buy the Conan Steelbook as well. But I would have bought the Warriors Arrow Steelbook and just upgraded that. So, because I do like Steelbooks. I will say I do prefer Steelbooks. So if I ever have the option, there's a 4K of a movie that I want, and there's the regular slipped edition, and then there's a Steelbook, I'll get the Steelbook pretty much every time, like 99.9% of the time. Shogun of summer sales, yeah, but I got to give you credit for that one, Jared. That one, you put Shogun in my head. I was mostly going like religious, like pseudo-religious, sort of Pope and Archbishop and stuff like that. I didn't think of like like Japanese military dictatorships at all. But obviously for Samurai July, it was perfect, right? I mean, it lines up thematically in both ways. It goes down, both streets at that intersection. It's great. Yeah, I'll do my price checking on that and see if I can find it cheaper. Oh man, yeah. That's the thing too, is like so much of this hobby is done online. You buy something from eBay or Amazon or Orbit or whoever. A lot of people don't even have brick and mortar stores that they could possibly go into for boutiques. Like I'm lucky I've got a Bull Moose's. I think it's Bull Moose's, or maybe it's just Bull Moose. It's definitely not Bull Meese. Nearby, I've got 3 that are pretty easy for me to get to. So I'm lucky I can go in and I can buy something in person if I wanted to. Like I said, it's usually a little bit more expensive that way. The 4K chunky boxes at Bull Moose are like $45, like in that neighborhood, $45. Whereas the same 4K chunky box for Arrow will be somewhere between 30 and 35 on Amazon. So I have a hard time with that. And so, it is. The disc rattling, that's tough though. That's tough. I don't think they usually rattle from someone like Vinegar Syndrome, but I feel like every third disc that I get from Amazon, it's like they put it in that little bubble mailer, and it's just like your disc by itself in that little bubble mailer, and you get that thing, and you just kind of tilt it, and you can hear that disc like click, click, just terrible, terrible. From your mouth to God's ears, thank you for the super chat, my man. I do appreciate that. That's awesome. Here's to 2K. Maybe we'll get there. Book of Monsters from 2018, which was a Kickstarter movie. Found myself hoping that certain characters wouldn't die. Yeah, okay. 50K budget. And yeah, okay, this ties it in with the Nolan conversation about like the emotional connection to the storyline or the characters. And yeah, I feel like that's the type of thing that you don't need a lot of money to do. It's a very creative thing, and it's a very difficult thing to do, is to create the characters and write a story that's compelling. That's something that obviously doesn't really cost much money at all. If you want to film them making an atomic bomb and exploding it, then it's going to cost some money, right? You're going to need some VFX then and shit like that. Or if you want to go film on location in Ithaca, I mean, that's where like the 50K budget's not going to cut it. But, I definitely think they need to make more, like make your big tent poles, make an Avengers movie every 3 or 4 years, keep making Batmans and Supermans and Harry Potters and all the bullshit. But, I think if you're writing your entire business on a small number, a handful of really expensive, like $300 million movies that need to make $1 billion in order for you to even like roll over in bed, then it feels like, I don't know, it feels like you're kind of not hedging your bets enough. I think they should make more, maybe not 50K, because that does seem like a kind of a Kickstarter level of budget, but they need to do more stuff like Obsession and Backrooms. I think with the success of especially Obsession, they will. I think the next couple of years they're going to try to pluck more YouTubers and make $5 million movies that hopefully go on to make hundreds of millions of dollars in return. And it's not a bad strategy. I mean, I think you can make an awful lot of $5 to $10 million movies with the same amount of money that you used to make one Odyssey, for instance. So, make your Odyssey, but then instead of making 2 Odysseys, maybe make 1 Odyssey and 10 smaller films that, just do it for people. And then when one of those $10 million movies makes $500 million, then you've paid for everything for your whole year. So, oh man, I hadn't heard there were 2 new movies in the works. I heard that they were making 1 new movie, but I didn't hear about 2. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it could be worse than the Jackie Earl Haley. remake. Hopefully they don't go with the whole like Nancy route again too. It's a thing in slashers. Like you want to bring back Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers or whoever, Freddy Krueger in this case. You want to bring back that like the character that's really well known because they're really well known. But they make sequels and like the other characters, the victim characters, they're all just kind of like fresh meat. It's just a revolving door. But for some reason, on a couple of these remakes, like Halloween and the Nightmare on Elm Street remake that they made several years ago, I mean, I don't know, a decade and a half ago now, the Jackie Earle Haley version, they also brought back Nancy for that. And they've brought back Laurie Strode in Halloween remakes. And so, I don't know. I think hopefully they don't go too close to something that's already been done twice by bringing Nancy back and basically retelling the first movie, remaking the first movie more or less. It'd be nice if they kind of expanded things or went a different direction and did something kind of new, at least in terms of the other characters that are not Freddy. There are certain expectations for Freddy, of course, the way he behaves and the way he looks and stuff like that. So we'll have certain expectations there, but it'd be nice if they weren't just like, we got to bring Nancy back and her mom and let's cast a lookalike for John Saxon and stuff like that. It doesn't feel necessary. So I don't know. I am glad that I managed to pre-order the Nightmare on Elm Street Steelbook, the new run that they're doing that's coming out in September. I did manage to snag one of those. So I've rectified my mistake from last year. It was only $154 when I pre-ordered it, which feels like, I don't know, kind of cheap. Like Zavi wants $250 for it. So I want like $100 more. Of course, theirs comes with the Blu-ray, but whatever. That's crazy. Drive 3 hours for IMAX. I like IMAX, but I'm topping out at 2.5 hours. I'm not driving more than 2.5 hours. 3 hours is just way too much. So, okay, so it's not something you'd watch by yourself, but, family, it'll be an enjoyable time. Like Moana. I never would watch Moana by myself, but I've seen Moana 50 times. So Sheep Detectives is quite enjoyable. This shows you how far behind I am on the chat, but that's awesome. Glad to hear it. Masters is getting a 7 out of 10. Homeward Bound. I don't think I've ever seen that one, but I might try my kids on it. I tried them on the first Air Bud, and the dog wasn't talking. And they're like, why is this dog a mute? What kind of messed up mud is this? It's a mute mutt. I want the dogs. The dogs are supposed to talk, and their little mouths are supposed to move. It's the worst animation you've ever seen. But, yeah, maybe I'll try them. If the animals talk, I'll show them Homeward Bound. If the animals don't talk, I loved Ferngully as a kid, too. I enjoyed that movie. I was like, I don't know, 8 or something when that movie came out. I was like, damn, this is cinema, right? Peak Kino right here. I did show my kids, I think Ferngully was on Prime or something, and I showed my kids Ferngully, I don't know, maybe a year ago. It wasn't super recently. And they were kind of like, meh. And I was kind of like, yeah, I think you're right. I think meh is the answer to Ferngully. That benefited from me being 8 years old and an idiot. And now I'm not. So, like, I had a harder time with Ferngully. Anyway. Furiosa was fine. I wouldn't call that glowing praise, but it was fine. Haven't seen it. I did enjoy Fury Road. Recasting Mad Max was a little bit weird, and then where do you wedge that thing in terms of the chronology? I don't know, but I think I enjoyed Fury Road pretty well. It felt like it was very much informed by The Road Warrior, but I didn't even mind Charlize Theron in that movie. I thought she looked weird with the way they had her makeup was pretty cool. Oh shit, 4K 10. How do you ban people? Does anybody know how to ban people? We're gonna have to think about banning 4K 10 Revival for that. I love you, Brad, but Blade Runner is a good film. I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree with you on that one. Blade Runner is enjoyable. I don't really 2049 is not bad. I don't want to bash. I don't want people to get the wrong impression about how much I care for 2049, but not as good as the first one. I appreciated it, but I definitely, the first Blade Runner is just a vibe. Obviously, like, you got to like the cyberpunk thing, but if you like the cyberpunk thing, it's sort of like the granddaddy of all cyberpunk things. So, yeah, I've thought about this recently a lot too, is that it's a combination of the sequel trilogy being really bad, that by comparison now the prequel, George Lucas's prequel trilogy, looks a little bit better. But then you also have, people talk so much shit about the prequel trilogy back in the late 90s and early 2000s. People talk so much shit about it. I mean, even into the late 2000s. But the reason why people are starting to turn the corner, public opinion is starting to turn the corner a little bit on the prequel trilogy of Star Wars, is because all of the kids that were 6 years old and 7 years old and 8 years old and went to see The Phantom Menace in the theaters, they went to see Attack of the Clones in the theaters, they went to see Revenge of the Sith in the theaters, and they aged up a little bit, and then they just spent their whole lives watching that trilogy with the original trilogy as well. So they've accepted them at the same time. And so I think you've got people who are not ironically like, oh, I like the prequels because at least it's not The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. But you've got people who like unironically like the prequels because they were 7-year-old idiots when they saw them, and so they accepted them blindly. Whereas those of us who were adults when the prequel trilogy came out, we know how terrible that is. It's not good. I don't think the prequels are great at all. I think the main flaw with the prequels is their handling of the Anakin character. I think the original trilogy gives us a lot to wonder about because he's just Darth Vader the whole time until maybe the very end of Return of the Jedi, at which point in time he kind of reverts to an Anakin-like persona. He gets to be a dad for about 10 minutes. You wonder a lot about like how all of this went down, how Anakin fell to the dark side and became Darth Vader. How did he manage to have a couple of kids? I mean, you just sort of wonder. There's a lot to think about in the 80s and 90s before the prequels came out and sort of filled it in. They did a bad job filling it in. They didn't do a good job making Anakin a likable character. He was really just kind of an annoying, whiny little simp. And inexplicably, he's like the best sword fighter, whatever, lightsaber fighter or whatever. He's the best. He's like, I don't know, right up there with Yoda, and Yoda's been doing it for like 800 years. So it's like, oh yeah, he's got the most midichlorians, so obviously he's going to be better than Mace Windu at sword fighting and maybe almost as good as Yoda at sword fighting. And so it's like, I don't know. He's like a very annoying character who's also like inexplicably like buffed to, the greatest heights that you could conceive. And so, yeah, that's why I don't like the prequels, because they didn't give us a very fun character. Like, the main character is just a whiny little douche. Like, I just want him to shut up and go away. I don't even want him on screen. And people blame Hayden Christensen, but I don't think it's Hayden Christensen. It's the way the character was conceived and written, just to be a whiny bitch and super skilled, like the most skilled Jedi in the whole world for some reason. Like, shit. Anyway, that's why the prequels suck. If him falling to the dark side was some grand tragedy, and it was like the whole time he's going to become Darth Vader anyway, George Lucas would put that shit in there like, oh, we got to show him slaughtering all the sand people like a psychopath because we have to like foreshadow that he's going to fall to the dark. No, you don't. We already know. It would be way better if we watched the first couple of movies, at least the first 2 movies out of the 3, and think, hey, I love it. Every time Anakin Skywalker's on screen, he's a badass. He's got the best lines. He's got the coolest hair. He's got the best everything. And then B, we already know what's going to happen to the guy. So you got to like get us there to a point where like whatever happens next is going to be terrible. And I don't want it to happen because I like Anakin as much as I sort of not like Darth Vader. They didn't do that. So it was just poor handling of the character. People were more interested in Mace Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi and stuff. People didn't give a shit about that whiny bitch. So anyway, I think they are more consistent. Yeah, I would agree. They don't have as many like highs and lows, but they never really reach that height, do they? It always feels like, something you have to read to get to the good part. Like the prequels are like, yeah, I guess I should watch them, but like the good part is The Empire Strikes Back, The Return of the Jedi, stuff like that. So anyway. Yeah, so Nolan knew what was going on, and he just figured, I'll weather the storm. Because he had to have known people were going to complain. And then, I think a guy like Nolan, I do trust that he's not an ideologue and that he wants to create interesting, entertaining, well-crafted, really high production value films. Like, I trust that he wants to sell tickets on the merit of his films, that he's not trying to get people either in or out the door for any, stunt casting choices or anything like that. I do believe that Nolan is, maybe at this point he's like, oh, I'm going to chase another Academy Award. Maybe he sort of got that hook into him a little bit, but I do trust the guy to be, to really try, like the customer service side of Christopher Nolan is really there in my opinion. So it's just weird for me to feel on the one hand, like he really does care if I like his movies. And he wants me to like his movies. He wants everyone to enjoy his movies. It's hard for me to reconcile that with, I know I'm going to cast a Kenyan as a Greek, and there's a lot of people that are going to complain about that on the internet, because that's what we do, is we complain about shit on the internet. But it's just weird that like he knew that, pulled the trigger on it, and still, like, I don't know. All these movies that he's made have been really well made, and I feel like he cares about people enjoying his films. So I don't know. What up, Austin Wilcutt? How you doing, bruh? All right, so this is a problem. He didn't cast any Scots at all in Braveheart. And he's like American-Australian too, right? Like he's not one of y'all's. So that's terrible. I think we need to maybe see about getting Braveheart boycotted, maybe. Excluding the 3009 extras. So he had 3009 Scottish folks that just don't speak at all in the movie. No speaking lines. Kill Bill didn't hold up. Yeah. I wonder about pretty much everything post Jackie Brown that Tarantino does. Like, is it going to hold up? Is it like a really cool movie to watch the first time, but then I don't ever really feel like watching it again? I feel like there's a lot of, most of his movies, like his Reservoir Dogs, I'll watch again. I feel like watching that sometimes. Pulp Fiction, I often feel like watching. And recently, because, I got the 4K Steelbooks of Kill Bill like a year ago. And so for the past year, I've been like, man, I really ought to pop that in. I'm just not quite as interested. Like, I could pop in Pulp Fiction right now. So I just wonder if his films are going to, they're Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, did really well, and people all really seem to like that movie. And is it like, cool, I watched it once, but Big Trouble in Little China is a movie that, like, pretty much every month I'm like, I should pop that in and watch that. Like, I should watch that tonight. It's a great movie. So I just wonder if Tarantino's are going to be, his more recent stuff is going to be real rewatchable. Like Hateful Eight, I saw that, and I'm not sure I have a lot of desire to rewatch that. You know what I mean? It's just, it was good. It wasn't bad, but I don't know if it has that rewatchability for me for a lot of Tarantino stuff. So, okay. So if it was a few years ago, you still have like Red Sonja and Excalibur were pretty recent, and I feel like those are big enough that, they're pretty well known. Red Sonja has Arnold in it a little bit, so I still feel like Arrow's just, I feel like they've got like a, I don't know, one of those, they just spin the wheel and see what it lands on. Every week they just update the wheel, or every month they update the wheel with the names of the releases for that month. And then they just, they randomly choose straws or something, and the person with the short straw has to go just keep it as random as possible, has to go spin the wheel, and whatever movie it lands on, they're like, you're getting the chunky box this month. And, maybe some months they're just like, nothing gets a chunky box this month. We're not doing it. So I don't know. I feel like that is their method, or like, close their eyes and like throw the dart at the dartboard and just see where it lands. And like, okay, it landed on Wild Style. So Wild Style is going to get a chunky box. Troy, no, get the fuck out of here. Troy doesn't get a chunky box. Wild Style gets the chunky box. I don't know. I feel like it's totally random. Okay. Passion of the Christ was Scorsese, though, right? Apocalypto, I think he was pretty precise about how he cast Apocalypto. But I guess Braveheart, it's Scottish people, It's not like us dumb Americans are going to be able to tell the difference. That is an Irish accent, a Scottish accent. I don't know. I'm an ugly American. I can't tell the difference. What do you want from me? I don't know. I feel like you're lucky because I've been seeing nothing but ads for Meow Doku, the Sudoku like game with cats. I have been getting those ads constantly, nonstop. It is the only advertisement YouTube has fed to me for the past couple of months. They're really working on me to play Meow Doku, and I'm not going to do it. If for no other reason than they want me to so bad. I just have to put my foot down and exert some control. But I wish they'd stop showing me Meow Doku because it's just, the ads are really bad. And Candy Crush, I must admit, I do play Candy Crush sometimes. I'm on like level 10,000 or something. I've been playing Candy Crush for like 13 years. Every time I'm at a doctor's office, you get through a few more levels. Oh, we have a $20 super chat from Chase Street. Thank you, man. I do appreciate you. I appreciate the congrats. Onwards and upwards. I think definitely by 2028, stretch goal 2029, I definitely think I hit 2,000 by then. I think I feel very good about that. I got a very positive feeling about that. So I do very much appreciate Chase Street buying 392 movies last month. You bought a crazy amount of movies last month. I'm still impressed. Like, I love it. I love it. I start coming on here with like the hauls, I got 300 movie hauls and my haul videos are 2.5 hours or longer than Return of the King. That's how you know the divorce is proceeding. That is how you know that I finally signed the papers and the divorce is finalized because I come down here with like I got 400 movies that month. That's, she is my throttle. Love of my life and my throttle. Views Parallax, what up, dude? I feel like it's been a minute since I've seen you around on the internet. What do I think of the Shawscope sets? I think the Shawscope, that feels like a very difficult thing to say 3 times fast. Shawscope sets. I believe they're cool looking. I don't own any of them. I kind of wish I did. On the other hand, those are tough for me. I kind of like the Hong Kong cinema films as like sort of like smaller one-offs or part 1 and 2 or the trilogy or something separately. I feel like the expense of buying the huge, it's like 11 movies, that's cool. And they're really well designed. They're very cool sets. But the idea of spending that much on, times 4, they've got 4 of them now, right? So several $100 times 4. I mean, spending $1,000 basically on those sets, given like they're sort of 50-50, like stuff I want versus like stuff that I'm like, meh. And maybe I'd wind up loving, but just stuff that I'm kind of like, eh. So I don't know. I can't say very much. Like, I think they're cool, but I don't own any of them, so I can't say like, oh, I watched them and the transfers are great and I really liked how they curated and the essays were excellent and the commentary on Shaolin Master Killer is totally enlightening. You'll come away with a whole new impression of that film and Gordon Liu's career. I just can't. I can't say that. That would be pretty cool. They actually would sell me on those sets if they had shit like that in there because I love Shaolin Master Killer. Where are my 36 Chamber of Shaolin fans out there? Are you guys out there? 36 Chamber of Shaolin, a.k.a. Shaolin Master Killer. That's what's up right there. I love that movie. I have not seen Shadow's Edge. And I think actually you have mentioned this one to me before, haven't you? Scottish Bear. It's coming back to me now. I think you've mentioned Shadow's Edge and you've told me it's good. Is it available? Like, can I buy the 4K from somebody? In the United States, preferably. But, yeah, I mean, I'll stream it if I have to stream it, obviously, too. 5-disc Blade Runner set. Is that a DVD? Is that a DVD set? Holler at me, because I couldn't get rid of my Blade Runner DVDs either, and I think I have like the 2-disc set, but it has like this holographic blue slip cover, and so I can't get rid of it, even though I've got the 4K. Oh, well. Blades of the Guardians, is that one of the manga. Is that a manga? I think, is that one of the ones that Kana is doing? I'm a little bit fuzzy on that one. Like, if it sounds familiar, but I don't know. Blade of the Guardians is quality? I don't know. I feel like it sounds familiar, but maybe it is not the manga that I'm thinking of. Ooh, Conan wants to fight 4K Tent Revival. Kill Bill is fantastic. Don't you say another bad word about Tarantino. Let's see. Django holds up. I've only seen Django once. I saw it in the theaters. I saw it in the theaters when it was new. And yeah, I remember digging it. I saw it in Atlanta. Interestingly, I saw it in Atlanta. As you can imagine, you know, Atlanta has Atlanta demographics. It is not as lily white as Maine is. Let's put it that way. So me and my roommate from college, actually, we were hanging out and we went to see Django, and he and I were the only two Caucasians in that quite full theater. And that was a fun experience, I will say. Definitely one I recommend. But so I like Django, but how much of it is colored by the fun experience I had being one of the two only Caucasians in the entire audience in Atlanta, watching a movie like Django Unchained. I mean, it's not like we were watching Notting Hill about Julia Roberts. I mean, we were watching a movie where a lot of white characters, including Leonardo DiCaprio, say the N-word. You know, it was a unique layer to that experience. So, everybody agrees Django is great. I don't have a bad thing to say about Django. Of course, I do have an interesting and unique bias. Yeah. Scorsese did Last Temptation. And Willem Dafoe played Christ. I've got the criterion of that, but I haven't seen it in a long time. Yeah, it's called Schindler's List. I think once is enough in this lifetime. I bought Schindler's List on DVD 2005, probably. It had just come out on DVD. It was kind of a big deal. And I haven't watched it since then. Like, I got it. I'm like, this is a great movie. It's an important film. You know, it obviously deals with a very important and like grave event in 20th century history. I just, you know, poor little girl with the balloon and the red. I can't do it. So sorry, Schindler's List. Sorry for all the Schindler's List fans out there. I can't do it. A good film. You can't say it's a bad film, but it's just not a rewatchable. And I honestly, if I got to choose between rewatchable, and they ask you what movies would you take with you to get stranded on a desert island, it's got to be something rewatchable, right? The whole criteria is I'm picking a short list of films based on how much I enjoy watching these and how much I feel like watching them in between viewings. Goodfellas, always going to be that way for me. Flushed Away must be underrated because I've never even heard of Flushed Away. But I will check it out on your recommendation. Flushed Away. Harvey Keitel was Pontius Pilate. Either way, Brooklyn accent. I don't know. Harvey Keitel doesn't really seem very biblical to me. I think it's interesting. I mean, he had a working relationship with Scorsese at that point. He'd been in a couple of Scorsese films, so I guess it makes sense that he would be in Last Temptation of Christ, but I just don't feel like Harvey Keitel is biblical. You know, I'm not sure I would cast him as some, biblical character in the Levant, Passion of the Christ is Mel Gibson. Yeah, I went with a date who was she was a very staunch Catholic. We went to see Passion of the Christ on a date. And I think I can tell you guys, you probably already know what I'm about to say, but that date night did not end in sex. They kicked his ass in that movie. That was another tough one to watch. I appreciate what Mel Gibson achieved with Passion of the Christ, especially when you hear how, nobody really wanted to help him with it. Nobody really, Hollywood didn't want to make that movie, and he just said, fuck you guys, I'm making it anyway. I respect that type of moxie, but, oh man, Passion of the Christ is another one. I don't need to rewatch this one because they kicked the shit out of him. So, yeah, 2 and I think 1 is some kind of holy grail because that one was out years ago. I think that one's been out of print for 2 or 3 years now. So, Part 1, if you get the limited edition, it's going to be... Do they make standard editions of those? That might be like the only time I ever get an Arrow standard edition because I want to save money and still have the movies. But Flushed Away. You've jogged some memories. Maybe Jared, you need to show it to your kids too. Horror themed stuff. Do they have horror themed stuff? I always thought the Shaw stuff was all martial arts stuff, but I guess it doesn't have to be because, you know, they made other stuff. The Shaw exploitation from Vinegar Syndrome is proof of that much. No, that's a very long title, especially for 1963. I have not seen that one. Okay. It sounds interesting, though. 36 Chambers for Life. Hell yeah. Wu-Tang. Osmosis Jones I've heard of, but I've never seen that one. But yeah, for the kids, why not? You know, that's the thing is, you know, you always hope that the people that you love, that you show movies to, you hope that they'll have the same reaction to your favorite films as you do. You know, like I show my wife Big Trouble in Little China when we first got together many, many years ago. You know, she's like, I've never seen this. Okay, you got to watch it. Like, if we're going to be together, you just, obviously, if you want to get married or whatever, we have to watch this. And, you know, afterward, her just being like, yeah, that was something. I remember showing her Billy Madison, always been one of my favorite comedies. Big one from the 90s, too. I remember the first time I showed her Billy Madison, she'd never seen it before, and I'm laughing my ass off the whole time, and we get through it, and she was like, yeah, that was a movie. You know, she's like, she didn't want to hurt my feelings, but she's just kind of like, I can't lie to you either. That was a motion picture. It had Adam Sandler in it. And so, yeah, I just remember looking at her and thinking, like, is this going to work? Like, should we have children? Should we get married and have children? I went through with it, but even still, considering her opinion on Billy Madison, it definitely makes me feel like I'm praying for the best, guys. 8-diagram pole fighter. That one I saw more recently, actually. That one's an interesting one because I didn't see that until I got the Arrow. I got the Arrow, like, I don't know, 2 years ago. And I finally got around to watching it, I don't know, a year and a half ago or something like that. And I like the 8-diagram pole fighter. Of course, I like Gordon Liu. Oh, spilled a little bit. 36 chambers. There we go. We got the 36 chamber crew. Another vote for 8-diagram pole fighter. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a good one. New Yuan Ping. Okay, Blades of the Guardians. I thought it was a manga. I don't know. I thought that's what I saw, but again, I mean, I do like to willingly damage my brain cells, so that is always my ready excuse for any time I say something dumb or I forget something I shouldn't forget. That's always my ready excuse. So, what do we got? Another comment here. Everything is out of stock. Yeah. There was a lot of excitement for this one. It kind of surprised me. I feel like the last couple of Arrow sales at Barnes & Noble just really haven't moved the needle much. Like, I've gone in and got stuff, but it didn't really capture the online zeitgeist where people are talking about it a lot in the way that they always talk about the Criterion sales, which is one of the more humdrum sales as well, because there's nothing limited edition or going out of print with Criterion. So, but people always get stoked for the Criterion sales for some reason. It always seems weird, but people do, and I can't debate that. This Arrow sale felt like it was like the opposite of the usual Arrow sale, where people don't usually really talk about it too much. But yeah, I think everything will be back in print. I think people like jumped on the sale because they were excited about it. And my Jackie Chan box set sold out. I haven't gotten a chance to get it yet, but I just keep refreshing the page, and when it comes back, boom, it goes in the cart. So the nice thing about the Barnes & Noble 50% off Arrow sale is that it's a long sale. It's like 3 or 4 weeks. So you got plenty of time for them to restock things that you might want. So that's good too. You know, how long is that making of documentary? I'm wondering if that was carried forward to any of the other. Is that on the 4K? I should look into that because it always annoys me. Like, I want the documentaries, especially if it's feature length. I love a documentary as a special feature, a bonus feature. The interviews are okay too, but I found a lot of the interviews are like they're talking about a movie from 1984 and they do the interview in like 2025, And so, I guess it's okay, but I like the making of documentary where they do some more research and they present you with sometimes, original archival materials, behind the scenes photos and stuff like that. Usually a little bit better quality. Love those. But I need to look at my 4K Steelbook and see what's on there. Yuen Ping is the shit. The goat. I don't know. I'm wearing my glasses. Why can't I see that little emoji? Looks like a goat now, but he's also the shit. It works both ways. I'm surprised he's not a bigger name here in the United States either, with just how many people were exposed to his stunt choreography, martial arts choreography, and don't even realize that they were. Like, everybody's seen the Matrix films. Everybody's seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So it's just a wonder that he didn't. A lot of that 90s boom of Asian action stars, John Woo, I think he's made like one U.S. domestic film in the last 20-something years. So, it's an odd thing. But it seems like a lot of them just kind of came and then a couple years went back. And Yuen Ping has always been one. I mean, back to Tai Chi Master with Jet Li and Michelle Yeoh. I love the Tai Chi Master. That's like my sleeper hit for Jet Li's entire filmography. And Yuen Ping did the choreography for that one as well. So it's cool. Chinese manga? I don't know. I'm sure the Chinese got manga. They got to have manga in China, right? Seems only natural. Life is Beautiful. Yeah, that is another one that, the movies that you tend to rewatch are the ones that usually will have a happy ending, and they tend to, they tend to be more fun. Like, the characters are having fun, the characters are parting. Comedies, I feel like comedies are always very easy to rewatch as well. They're like a little bit lighter type of thing. So, One and Done with Norbit. Me too, actually. I saw Norbit in the theaters when it was brand new. I can't remember which broad I went with to go see that one. It was before I met my wife. So, some other worthless broad. And I remember, I don't know. I didn't love Norbit. I don't think it was very good either. I don't own it, and I've never watched it again. So the proof is in the pudding, right? Whatever I say I think about Norbit, it doesn't matter because I've demonstrated the fact that I have zero interest in rewatching Norbit. So I guess that's really the judge right there. Yeah, I think he did get, he obviously had some trouble right around that time, right? Like, didn't he have that arrest? He was arrested for DUI, and it was like a Jewish arresting officer, and he was talking mad shit, like the Holocaust was fake and saying crazy shit that would obviously be offensive to like your average Jewish person. And that was big news back then. I think they really wanted to kind of paint Mel Gibson with that brush. Like, oh yeah, you heard about his grandpa, right? Or whatever. So I don't know. That's dangerous. You're rolling the dice, but you got to bet big to win big. That's what they say. You got to bet big to win big, and maybe you'll win big on this one. Hopefully you'll at least get your money back if you never hear anything from them again. Okay, so they did a standard edition of the first volume of the Strawscope set minus one movie. That kind of sucks. They're going to keep that one movie exclusive to the set. That's pretty shitty tactic right there, in my opinion. Because especially once that old set is out of print, it's basically saying this movie's not available anymore unless you go onto eBay and pay $500. The box sets are stupid too, because if it retails for $200 or $250, the scalper price is going to be at least double that. You got to at least double whatever the original retail was. So that's really unfortunate. Like, the box sets, I always try to get them when they're still in print. The post market on the box sets is just disgusting. Whereas a single film, it's like, yeah, maybe Something Wicked This Way Comes is going to be $55 on a single disc Blu-ray because it's out of print, but $55. It sucks. It's a markup, but it's not $500 like some of the Nightmare on Elm Street Steelbook box sets were going for. I mean, $800 for Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, you could get the standard edition for $99. It makes no sense. I'm glad there's another dude out there that appreciates the Tai Chi Master. Tai Chi Master is the shit. Dangerous Days, and it's 3 hours. Damn, 3.5. Sorry, 3.5. Holy shit. What is my wife like? I'm assuming that this question is directed at me because the camera's pointing at me. My wife, I have said, has very good taste in films. I don't think any two people are always going to completely 100% converge their film tastes. So I think there's going to be stuff that I don't like, that I like that she doesn't, like Billy Madison. And I don't think she disliked Billy Madison. I think it just was like, that was phenomenally stupid. And you had to be 14 when I went to see Billy Madison on opening night to love it as much as I do. But so there are some stuff that she's not a big fan of. Like, she will watch a lot of the classic, golden age Hollywood stuff. She will watch that with me any day of the week. Old Hitchcock stuff. She's very reliable. Any of that stuff she'll watch with me. So if it's a classic, definitely down. She likes horror movies. I will say she's got good taste in horror. If I'm like, hey, let's watch The Burning, she's like, fuck yeah, let's watch The Burning. I love it. So she's good with that. I would say she's not as huge a fan of comedies as I would like her to be. Like the really silly, absurd shit too. I like mine fairly absurd. I like Better Off Dead with the dancing cheeseburger that like sings the song and plays the electric guitar. I like really silly shit like that. My wife, I don't think she enjoys or appreciates the really absurd stuff. So she's not as big a fan of like Wet Hot American Summer. She'll watch it with me, but it's not like, holy fuck, it's August, I gotta watch this movie again. So I will say she's a little hit or miss on comedies. And then she likes a genre that I don't care for much at all, and that is the Oscar bait genre. Occasionally a good movie that I enjoy will win the Oscar, but I regard stuff like Moonlight to be essentially custom built to just try to win awards. That's what they're there for. I don't think Moonlight wants to entertain me very much, and it's not a very rewatchable film. My wife likes that type of film. I think that type of film, just kind of makes her feel good. Like there's a human story here, and it's like, I feel important if I'm engaging in this story about, battered women with HIV or, gay men in Oklahoma circa 1977. I mean, I think that type of thing gives her like good feels that it doesn't for me. And yes, I've never really had much of a stomach for films that are created for that. And so, yeah, that's sort of where we diverge. So I would say like there's a little bit like maybe sometimes I'll want to watch something stupid. Maybe sometimes she'll want to watch something Moonlightish. I think it's important. I'll still watch whatever she wants to watch. Like if I'm letting her pick, if it's like her night to choose, I'm not like, oh, like I'm going to fall asleep while she's watching her movie or whatever, like play on my phone. It's like, no, this is what you dig. And we know I don't dig it as much as you do, but I'm going to be present and enjoy it with you because I like it when she does that for my movies. You know what I mean? Like if I pick something that's silly, some old, Hong Kong martial arts movie, like, let's watch The Killer, honey. And she's like, okay. I never would have chosen The Killer on my own, but, we love each other and we want to be kind of present and enjoy that other thing that our partner enjoys at the same time. I think that's important. So, if your girl ever chooses a movie that you're not like thrilled about, that you wouldn't normally have picked, pop some popcorn, go pour her a drink and just try to enjoy the shit out of it with her because she will appreciate that from you. And, then you can do the sexual stuff later. So I'm really just trying to help you out, help me help your penis. I need to see The Swordsman too. That is one of the Jet Lis that I never got around to. I don't have the box set yet either. I'm actually kind of behind. I have the first several spine numbers. I don't know, the first like 20 or so spine numbers for the Hong Kong Cinema Classics, and then they're just going too fast. And Shout doesn't really have sales like they used to. I mean, if they had like a 50% off sale twice a year, I would catch up on them like I do with the VSUs and stuff. But Unfortunately, I'm getting way behind. I don't think I have anything newer than A Better Tomorrow. So I definitely have a lot of stuff I gotta pick up, but I don't know, rob a 7-Eleven or something like that. So yeah, everybody wants them. Frank, are you a Better Off Dead fan? Did we just become best friends? Are we gonna live together? Because if you're a big Better Off Dead guy, I think we're gonna be pretty well compatible. So I hope you swipe right, because I'll make it worth your while, buddy. We'll watch Better Off Dead together. I forgot the song was Everybody Wants Some, which is not a song that I care much for. I hate to admit it, because I love Better Off Dead as much as I love any other movie. But I don't love that song. It works for the part in that movie, but if that song comes on my Pandora, like one of my 80s stations, I'm skipping it for sure. I'm definitely thumbs downing and skipping it. So, oh well. Oh, Carrie, you showed the wife Porky's, huh? You guys had a very classy evening. I hope you ate some fast food, drank some $2 Chuck from Trader Joe's. That's how you do it. Um, so you kind of made her watch Porky's, huh? I do take mercy on my wife, and if it's really like, if it's like my thing, and I know it's like, this is like most of my Vinegar Syndrome stuff I have not watched with her. Some of it I have, and she does, like I said, she does enjoy horror films. So I think it was Buried Alive I watched with her, and maybe a couple of others that she was just like, yeah, cool. Like, I feel like watching a schlock. But she does love horror films, but she's still more of like I want to watch an A-list horror film. I want to watch like I don't want to watch a B movie. I don't want to watch, not that she doesn't want to watch Vinegar Syndrome stuff, but it's not. So look, if I'm watching a Vinegar Syndrome film and it's like, I know there's going to be a lot of boobies in there, and the girl in the front has the cleavage, and you turn it over, and she's on the back, and her booty's like, pow, like Steel and Lace or something like that, where it's like 15-year-old boy coded. It's like everything, the blood splatter, the cyborg, the cleavage, and then you turn it over, and there's the booty. That whole slipcover is like teenage boy coded, 100%. And so if it's something like that, sometimes I'll say like, all right, honey, I'll watch this one night when I'm up a little later and you fall asleep early. I'll watch my Vinegar Syndrome stuff with a lot of titties in it. Although some of the stuff I watch Joy of Sex from Cinematograph. And I finished that up and was like, my wife would totally enjoy this movie. She should totally dig this movie. Like, it's quirky and it's fun and it's very funny at times. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try her on that one. So sometimes I bump into stuff. I bump into stuff that might work. Now, this is a 4K that I would really want. Hero got a Blu-ray, I think, here in the United States, but it's been a while. It wasn't a boutique Blu-ray. I'm not sure how it looks because I don't own it. I own the DVD, and I shouldn't be looking that way because it's behind me. But I own the DVD of Hero. I saw Hero in the theaters. I was quite proud of myself. That was during that point in time in my life that I would go see anything Kung Fu related or Hong Kong cinema related. I would go see that shit in the theaters. And man, Hero I'm glad I saw that on the giant screen with the loudspeakers, because Hero, I would love a 4K of Hero. The fight scene between him and Donnie Yen is peak. The rest of the movie is good too. It's a very good movie with kind of an interesting storyline that I won't spoil for you guys because I respect the film Hero and I want you guys to watch it if you haven't seen it yet. But it definitely has an interesting story. It takes an interesting turn. I won't call it a twist ending, but it's kind of a twist ending for you guys. So go check it out if you haven't seen it. But the other fights in the movie are good, but kind of like that Crouching Tiger good. When Donnie Yen and Jet Li were going at it, I mean, and that dude was like laying down the beat on that like Asian lap guitar or whatever the hell. I don't know what the Chinese word is for it, but he got his long ass fingernails. He got his like cocaine fingernails and he's going at that thing, hitting the strings and shit like that, like ding, 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 ding. And the whole thing cuts to black and white. And Jet Li and Donnie Yen are going at it. There's like all these great slow motion shots. Holy shit. I want to watch The Hero tonight. I got it on DVD, and I'm like, it's not going to look as good as it did in 2007 or whatever when I was watching this DVD all the time. But that would be a film I would get, day one if it got a 4K. And it would look great on 4K. I mean, that's the type of movie that was made. I mean, the approach wasn't like one of these cheap 80s, we're just going to make this schlocky movie where a guy kicks the shit out of 100 other dudes and does some incredible stunts. Like, this is Hero is a really beautifully photographed film. So anyway, what up, Billy's Movies? How you doing, dog? Did you watch the Nicolas Cage Gone in 60 Seconds? Because I think there's 2, right? Or is there more than 2? I haven't seen that one since the theaters. I remember when that one came out, like no one really knew who Angelina Jolie was. That was a wild time because that movie comes out and people are like, oh yeah, that Angelina Jolie, like, wow, she's hot or whatever. And it's like, obviously, you know, in the decade after that, she became like the most beautiful woman on earth for a little while during her peak. So, okay, you got Hero on Blu-ray, but wouldn't you like to have Hero on 4K? I think you would. I know I would. I would love to have Hero on 4K. That beautiful black 4K plastic. Black is beautiful, baby. Black 4K plastic inside like a nice chunky box. Give me like a nice booklet with some essays talking about maybe the historical context, because it was actually based on the first emperor of unified China. And so like it's mythologized. It's been heavily mythologized over the year. It's a story like, you know, the Alamo. They're gonna, yeah, Davy Crockett was a real dude, but you know, you're gonna hear some stories that may not have actually happened concerning Davy Crockett and the Alamo. It's sort of like that, where Hero was based on a real emperor, but like this might be kind of a dramatized, exaggerated version of that emperor, and it may not be historically perfectly accurate, but you know, I would love to see a booklet with all of that info on it. Man, when Homeboy is like laying down the Chinese beat on that thing, it's like ding 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 ding, and they're just boom boom boom. Donnie Yen's got the spear the whole time, and he's like whipping that tassel around and shit. Oh, it's almost hypnotic. I love that movie. Carrie, good man. I think, you know, you don't want to force anything on the wife. You know what I mean? Especially if she's been pregnant before. As if you've gotten her pregnant, it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did this to you. I apologize. Like, you're throwing up, and I'm not. And I'm going to eat a cheeseburger later, and you're going to throw up again. Like, I'm sorry. My penis and I have talked about it. We're very sorry. We'd like to get you something nice. It's called 5 Minutes of Sex. I would agree. That movie, The Hero, needed definitely a little bit more Donnie Yen. The great thing is that Donnie Yen and Jet Li got to fight. The bad thing is one of them's not walking away, and one of them's not going to be in the rest of the movie. So, yeah. Which one was, I think I missed which one was underwhelming. I also love Yojimbo. I would love to have Last Movie Standing. Or excuse me, Last Man Standing. He got his name, Last Movie Standing, from Last Man Standing. Last Man Standing, I'd love to have on 4K, because I've got Yojimbo and A Fistful of Dollars on 4K. So it'd be nice to have, you know, you could marathon all 3 of them on 4K. That would be pretty cool. Once Upon a Time in China's, yeah, I got those on Blu-ray from Criterion of all people. That's kind of where I knew Criterion had turned a corner too. It's like, all right, you know, it's one thing to do a whole bunch of Fellini stuff, to do some Godard, to do a bunch of Kurosawa, but like once Jet Li enters your selection, your collection of films, you know, you're trying to make some money now too. Once Upon a Time in China films are good, but they're not like, I mean, it's not 8.5. It's not the 400 Blows. It's not Seven Samurais. It's just kind of crazy. You know, they're allowed to make some money too, so throw in some popular stuff. But Romeo Must Die is a good one. I remember sneaking in mad Chinese food to that movie, which feels, honestly, in hindsight, kind of racist. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I should have snuck in some American food or some Mexican food. I could have snuck Taco Bell into Romeo Must Die, but I snuck a big, like I went to a Chinese joint and got like takeout in one of those plastic, you know, styrofoam containers. It was like 5 pounds of Chinese. It was like fried rice and General Tso's chicken, and I totally snuck it into Romeo Must Die. I don't know how I did it, but I like tucked it under my coat or whatever, and man, I sat there and ate a plate of General Tso chicken in the middle of a movie theater watching Romeo Must Die. And man, I miss it. I'll be honest, I miss it. I went to see Moana tonight with my kids, and I love my daughters. Like, they were like laying on me in the mirror. I had one of them like laying across me, like literally on my lap, and the other one was in this her seat next to me, but like laying on me. I had my arms around both of them. It was great. It was the best, but there's just nothing like sneaking beer and Chinese food into a movie circa 1999. That was just, you know. The remake with Cage. Okay, cool. But you own both, so there you go. Nobody can say anything. You're beyond reproach. You say, I own both of them. What do you want from me? You know, don't give me that shit. You tell people to F off. Samurai and Kung Fu movies are definitely up there for me. I would say, you know, Kung Fu movies definitely around the turn of the millennium. You know, from 97, 96, 97 to, you know, 2005, 2006, when the Jackie Chan movies started sucking and Jet Li quit making movies in America. That was an era there, unprecedented, unparalleled, unmatched in all future generations. It was just a really good time, in my opinion, to be a fan of, you know, Hong Kong cinema, Kung Fu stuff. But, you know, after that, Jackie Chan kind of, you know, he started making shit like the Tuxedo and stuff. I'm like, really? Is this what you think your fans want? Like, I don't want you to break your neck, but go do a stunt. You know, Jet Li kind of fucked back off to Hong Kong, and it just sort of like it just went away. But it's like the opposite of the Avengers. It's like the MCU movies that keep making like $10 or like, you know, they don't even break even, and it's like they still make them. But I don't remember there being like a giant flop for Jackie Chan or Jet Li or anybody like that. So I don't know. I don't know why they stopped making them, but, you know, it feels like somewhere in 2007, I look around, I'm like, man, it's been a little while. 2008, something like that. It's been a while since I have seen a Jackie Chan movie or a Jet Li movie in the cinemas. It's just they stopped. But Iron Monkey, I would take a 4K. I, at one point in time, had an Iron Monkey poster signed by Donnie Yen. My girlfriend at the time met him and had him sign the poster for me. And I have no idea what became of that thing. Probably stuck it up her ass, but I don't know. Okay, Zato Ichimitsu Yojimbo. Yeah, because Toshiro Mifune came back and he essentially reprised his Yojimbo role, right? Although I know Akira Kurosawa will sue you over Yojimbo. He did it to Sergio Leone. Yeah. Last Man Standing is an underrated film. It hasn't really been, I don't know, it just hasn't been super talked about. It never got a 4K, or hasn't gotten a 4K yet. So, I don't know. It's a film that I think people should talk about more. I think at that point in time, like, he made that film, I don't know, it was like shortly after Pulp Fiction. I think Pulp Fiction was kind of a comeback for him. And as I recall, it was like a series of movies that he made afterward that just it didn't quite hit. And it's too bad, because I think it's definitely underrated, and I think it should be more talked about than it is. Good movie. Oh, what up, Stacy? What's going on? How you doing? Shit. Who would I cast for the next Yogi Bear? I don't know. He's got to be a bear. Definitely, I don't know. I'm not casting a polar bear, because A, he was always a brown bear, and B, you know, pale and male and polar bear is stale. So, you know, I'm definitely casting Wesley Snipes to do the voice of Yogi Bear, I think, is where I'm going. Sly, you think Sly for Yogi Bear? Maybe. Sly would work at Acres? Yeah, maybe. Have I seen Red Dragon? Red Dragon. Do you mean Red? Maybe not, because 94? All right, it's not ringing any bells. It is not ringing. Red Dragon. It's not ringing any bells. I feel like I haven't even heard of that one, so maybe you're just making it up. I don't know. I can't be sure until I've seen the film. So, yeah, Tsui Hark is all right. He's hit or miss. I like some of his films. I'm not the Once Upon a Time in China films are a little bit, I think the first one or two are probably the better ones. It's a little bit of a diminishing thing as you go on, but the deal is good. I think, you know, during a Criterion sale, I think it's only like, what is it, $70 for the whole set, or $60? It's not that bad for like 5 movies. It's pretty good. Who would I cast as Kevin Feige? Feige? How do you say that guy's name? I tend to say the soft G because it doesn't sound as bad as Feige. I worry if I say Feige and somebody's not really paying attention, they're going to think that I'm saying something that's not Feige. So I say Feige, but it sounds like beige, right? Is it just Kevin Feige? It rhymes with beige? I don't know. For the birth of the MCU movie, like its conception. What's his name? Jeff Daniels. Jeff Daniels from Dumb and Dumber. Definitely him. I think he would do a good Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige. Oh, I would kill for a 4K of the Shaolin Temple. That was a great movie. That was a really great movie. You know, because that was like the first film, I think, maybe in decades that actually filmed at the location of the actual Shaolin Temple. You know, a lot of those like 60s and 70s kung fu movies, like, oh, it's the Shaolin Temple, and it's quite obviously a set. But they did a lot of filming there, like at the location in what was left of the temple and stuff. And I thought that was wicked cool. It was wicked cool seeing it. Beck biopic? Biopic. Do you guys say biopic or biopic? Because I definitely don't trust people that say biopic. I think they're Terminators sent back in time and they just don't speak English right. But a Beck biopic or Beckopic, I'm not sure who I would cast in that. I would cast Beck to play himself, and I would use digital de-aging if we have to show him as a 12-year-old. Or maybe no de-aging at all. Just let him play his 12-year-old self, you know, as an old man now. So, your favorite Asian film is The Last Samurai. I mean, it's an American production too, but there's so much better Asian films, I feel like, than Last Samurai. There's some good stuff out there. You just got to learn to talk Chinese. Once you learn to talk Chinese, it's all gravy. It's all egg rolls from then on out. I shouldn't say gravy. It's all egg rolls from then on out. I'm pretty stoked for The Last Boy Scout 4K. Yeah, I can't say I'm like wicked excited. It's not like Christmas morning. It's not going to be hard to wait. It's definitely going to be a day where I'm like, oh yeah, that's out. I should go buy that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to rewatching it. So I don't know why I just can't get super excited about Arrow. It's wild the year that they've had. I'll need to talk about it at greater length at some point, but it seems like they'll announce something that's like nobody saw coming, like a 4K physical version of the entire Stranger Things show. I mean, they announced that shit back in March. Nobody saw it coming. Everybody's like, what? For something like that, and then it's a blip. It's a very high blip, and then it goes away again, and people are like, oh, Arrow. Oh, Arrow. They're still doing a thing. They're still here. They're still doing a thing. Then they do the Jackie Chan box set. It's just odd to me that, I don't know, I'm happy with what Arrow does. I buy a lot of Arrow releases. I like a lot of Arrow movies, but it's just hard to get excited sometimes. You should go to bed, Chase. You got to be up in 4 hours, dog. Even I'm not going to make it too much longer. I, as I've told you guys, my wife is out of town. She comes back later tomorrow, but it's just me and the kids tomorrow morning. It's Saturday morning. So, you know, and you never know what time one of these little fuckers is going to be up. So, got to get your sleep. I'm probably with Chase. Like, I just don't get as much sleep as I should or as I would like to. Is Hero his best? I would say it's definitely one of his best. For sure, just in terms of production value and like the level of stature. I worry that if you watch Hero first, everything's going to feel like less than, because obviously the production on that one is really high. And when you go back to something like Tai Chi Master, the production is not at that level. So you might be disappointed by a great film like Tai Chi Master because it's not that level of money spent on cinematography as Hero. So, and I think Hero is better than Last Samurai. I think Hero is a great movie. You got to read subtitles, but otherwise, awesome movie and a much prettier movie to look at. You could almost just hit mute, right? And keep the subtitles off and just like let Hero play out on your screen. It's a beautiful film to look at. So I think you should probably build your way up the Jet Li filmography, you know? Start with some of his earlier films and then kind of work your way in. and save Hero to be like a treat a little bit later on. Once you kind of already have a feeling of Jet Li, and once you already get the feel of his films like Tai Chi Master and Black Mask, even some of that stuff, The Bodyguard. I mean, Hero will definitely hit different because it's a big step up for him, I think. Okay, he was starting shit with his Last Samurai statement. The Yojimbo in Zatoichi Meets Yojimbo isn't even the same character, but he's played. So, yeah, it's probably one of those things where they didn't want to get sued. So, yeah, they could get Mifune, but, you know, they're not trying to get sued on him playing the exact same character. So, they'll skirt around it. I agree Walter Hill is fairly underrated. And when you look at, like, how much stuff he's done over the length of time, it is like, it's just weird that, you know, and people have heard of stuff like The Warriors. Maybe not as much Southern Comfort and some of his other stuff, but people have definitely heard of The Warriors. It's just weird he doesn't get more love. I agree with that. He's definitely an underrated filmmaker. I also agree that Carrie is underrated. Carrie's definitely underrated, but I want to say that I was a big-time early believer in Carrie. Like, I got on the Carrie train early on. Physics. What up, Physics? Also, welcome to the clan. Welcome to the real Wu-Tang Clan. The ninja movies are... I love ninja movies because, you know, the samurai movies have this sort of expectation, sort of a ideal that they got to live up to in terms of scale, Seven Samurai and stuff. Ninja stuff is like... Every cool thing in the 80s had a ninja. Like G.I. Joe had like a ninja in it. You had to have a ninja in your shit back then. So the ninjas have a little bit more nostalgia for me, like just childhood. Like, what was cool when you were 8? Fucking ninjas. That was always the answer. So I like some of the, like, the schlocky, like, American Ninja. Like, give me something really schlocky full of people you've never heard of before. And give me like 90% of the budget is spent on the gore. I'm down every time. Definitely love me some ninja movies. I have not seen the Shinobi films that Radiance released, unfortunately. I did not see those. You're kind of making me feel bad about not getting those. But yeah, I did not check those out. So, but I am down. I am down for some ninja movies. Revenge of the Ninja is the best ninja movie. There are definitely people who think that. I think our friend Chase from Maybe Pop Culture would agree. Probably that Revenge of the Ninja. But Enter the Ninja, Ninja 3, the ones with Shokosugi, I think those are great too. Just good, schlocky 80s, you know, very solid stuff to watch. It'd be great if they timed that out properly, right? The 30th anniversary. I'm going to cross my fingers for an upgrade because... I think my homie Brian at The Last Movie Standing was saying that Last Man Standing is another New Line film, and Arrow has done a lot of business with New Line in the past couple of years, so it's always possible. Maybe they're working on it now. Yeah, we all know that Chase is not a big chopsocky guy, not a big Hong Kong cinema fan, but you know, I think it's always good to have like a couple of exceptions. Like, I don't like Oscar bait, but there's a few that still work for me. Hero is one I would recommend. If Christopher Nolan was casting Yogi, no way. Definitely not a polar bear. You got to cast somebody. You got to cast Wesley Snipes, I think, is probably the one you got to go with. And I don't think Nolan's worked with Wesley yet, so I think that would be good. 13 Assassins. Did you see you saw the newer version, right? The Takashi Miike version. I've seen that one. I saw that one on, you know, Blu-ray like a decade or so ago. And it's definitely pretty cool. I got the OG, the one from the 60s that I need to rewatch pretty soon, 13 Assassins. I'm assuming you're not talking about that one. Oh, New Legend of Shaolin. Okay, I recognize the name New Legend of Shaolin. I think I've seen that one. I think I saw that one in the 90s when I was just like any martial arts movie I could get my hands on. I didn't see it in the theater either. That is pretty lucky. Yeah, just a Blu-ray, unfortunately. But maybe, maybe Arrow does like putting out Asian films. That'd be a big get for Vinegar Syndrome. Maybe Criterion would do it, but I doubt it. Revenge of the Ninja is awesome. Peking Opera Blues, I got that recently. Was that one edited? I read something about them doing maybe some digital, like, recropping some of the shots to get one of the characters with blackface out of the shots, because obviously that's not a very popular thing in this day and age. So, or is that, no, that's Shanghai Blues. Sorry, that was Shanghai Blues. Never mind. That was Shanghai Blues that I heard was edited in a subtle way to kind of remove offensive stuff. So, but that wasn't Peking Opera Blues I've got over there too. That's one of the spine numbers I do have before I just kind of fell off. Ninja 3 is tons of fun. Ninja Boogaloo, I got to check that one out. What do I think about Samara Weaving graduating? I hope she gets a good payday. It may be a graduation, views parallax. It may be a graduation in the sense of it's her moving up to like a really high pay grade. Because, the Marvel movies still cost a ton of money and they still make people, like actors and stuff, quite wealthy. So, they paid Robert Downey Jr., $80 million to come back for 2 movies as Dr. Doom or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, maybe in terms of the money, it's going to be a graduation, a step up into the bigger leagues. How do I feel about her joining? I saw that she was going to get cast as Emma Frost, which she looks enough like Emma Frost, and I think the picture that I saw, she looked very, very nice, and so I support it because she looked very, very good in the photo that I saw, like very nice, good talent, very high talent. So yeah, I support that. I support bringing talent like that to the MCU because she looked good in that photo. So okay, yeah, Under Siege. Honestly, I did pick up Under Siege, kind of like, I found it cheap one day. It might have been, pre-owned at Bull Moose or whatever. I got a good deal on it. But then I thought, you know what? I'm going to pop this in. I haven't seen it in a long time. And I got to say, I enjoyed the shit out of Under Siege way more than I thought I was going to. I really found myself enjoying that film. And it had been a very long time since I've seen any Steven Seagal. But yeah, I think Last Boy Scout, I'm hoping at least, it's a similar thing. Like, it's a movie I haven't seen in 15 plus years. And so I'm hoping for that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nepotism is one of those things that I think is mostly bad. But, even a broken clock is right twice a day. So even a bad system like nepotism will occasionally give you the talented Samara Weaving. Yeah, Hugo Weaving's daughter. That's Hugo Weaving from Transformers. He's Megatron. The Matrix, obviously. Yeah, Hugo Weaving's daughter. Haters, all of them. Everybody that hasn't subscribed to my channel yet is a hater. Yeah, I'm probably, it's almost 1 o'clock. I probably need to wrap it up as well. I've yapped for a while. I got to talk about the Air Buddies movies. I got to talk about seeing Moana today. And, I got to talk about the stupid spider tag. So I feel like I got to say everything that I was holding right here. Boom. And yeah, he was in Lethal Weapon. I remember going to see that with a girl at the time. And, I do remember liking Lethal Weapon, like way more than I liked the girl. I thought, yeah, that's a badass movie. I was waiting for him to come over to the United States. I had already been watching Jet Li movies for several years at that point. And yes, I play Scrabble. My aunt got me into Scrabble when I was young. I was like 12 or so. And I had a fairly good vocabulary because I read a lot. I still read a lot. I read a lot, but I read a lot back then. And so my aunt, who was considerably older than my dad, she actually passed away 2 years ago at 91. But my aunt would, and I actually went to visit her before she passed, a month before, and she still kicked the shit out of me in Scrabble. Like, she used to beat my ass at Scrabble back when we were, when I was 12 and she was whatever. She was a journalist. She wrote for a living. I'm like, how do you, you're like, literally, I'm a kid and you're beating up on me. She did not take it easy on me either to make me feel better about myself. It wasn't one of those generations where she's like, I better, watch out. Like, if I beat this kid's ass in Scrabble, he's never going to play with me again. She beat me in Scrabble every single time I played her for decades. And she did finally die. We got to play one last game of Scrabble together. I don't know, probably 2 months before she passed. And we knew she had leukemia at that point. We knew she was going to go. I wanted to go visit her one last time while she was on the earth. And she kicked my ass at Scrabble. So, so I'm okay at Scrabble because my aunt kind of beat the shit. She jumped me in to Scrabble. So, I can't even think of anything I've seen her in. I've probably seen her in 12 things, but I can't think of one thing that I have seen her in. But I do know that she looked very good in that photo. So I would like to see her dressed in a very comic book accurate Emma Frost costume. That would be very nice. I still haven't seen Ready or Not 1, believe it or not. Don't unsubscribe. I still love you guys. Never saw it. And Brad keeps telling me, 4K Tent Revival keeps telling me, you got to check this movie out. It's really good. I will check it out at some point. I'm not being an asshole. I just, it's tough. All right, Scottish Bear, good night. I'm going to follow you pretty soon. And go try to catch some sleep before my kids. My kids are going to have me up early in the morning. Bedtime, good night. Good night to everybody. Well, I am way behind on the chat, but I don't think I'm ever going to catch up because it's moving faster than I can because I just love the sound of my own voice, apparently. Ninja 3 is my favorite out of the 3 as well. Franco Nero, yeah. New 13 Assassins, okay. New 13 Assassins. Yeah, that is the one that I saw too. It was a good movie. I kind of feel like old boy probably didn't need to, like, take the sword to the guts at the end. He pretty much had homeboy beat already. That seems like he just wanted a Pyrrhic victory or something like that. I don't know, but yeah. So 13 Samurai, good one. Much better than 13 Ghosts. I'm not a fan of 13 Ghosts. 13 Samurai, though, pretty tight. Lone Wolf and Cub is great. Lone Wolf and Cub, I really enjoyed from the outset, but by the time you get to the third or the fourth movie, he jumps up in the air and he throws his sword down into the top of the guy's head in a very unconventional samurai type of technique, but he just throws his sword like a spear down into the top of the guy's cranium, killing him instantly. And I just thought, this is a great movie. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen, but also the coolest thing I've ever seen, because the guy just kind of falls over in slow motion, but with like 2 feet of katana sticking out of his head, and it's just so ludicrous as to be hugely entertaining. So I've always been a big fan of Lone Wolf and Cub for that. Although I gotta say, man, my man's Ogami is definitely pretty ruthless when it comes to children. I think he kills at least 2 kids over the course of that. It's like, I just gotta assassinate this toddler because they're like a I don't know, heir to the clan or whatever, and we got to kill the whole clan or something. He's like totally down with killing toddlers when they got to go, which is that rubs a little bit on my values, which is not as comfortable during those moments that he kills like women and children, because he does both of those things. I heard something about Ryan Gosling as Ghost Rider, but also I was just assuming that that was a rumor and that it had no merit, but maybe it does, and we'll see. I like Ryan Gosling as well. I used to think ill of him. I thought he was just like the dude from The Notebook and the Jonathan Sparks movies that are really stupid. Those are terrible films, too. Thank God my wife does not give a shit about that type of romantic schlock. But I remember, him being from those movies, and so he made Drive, and I just remember, like, oh, it's that guy from those, like, chick movies. Like, I don't want to watch those. Drive, what do I want to watch that for? Like, what is he going to do, drive the chick around? I don't know. But when I finally did check out Drive, it was excellent. I've seen Ryan Gosling in a different light since then. So I do like Ryan Gosling. He's a good dude. This is true. Everybody's a hater. Whoop. I can't enter the 36th chamber. Okay, I'm gonna look into Flushed Away. Kubo I've thought about, but Flushed Away I've never even heard of. So I'm gonna check that out. 13 going on 30 Ghosts. That'd be a nice parody. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna hit it. Everybody else is going to bed, and I'm feeling pretty heavy eyelids as well. I want to say thank you guys for chilling with me for the live stream, but like life. Thank you for being ride or dies, and I love you guys all very much. Everybody, go get some sleep. It's 1 a.m. Let's get a little rest. I'm gonna fall asleep watching something. It might be Drive at this point or Hero. I won't fall asleep if it's Hero. I'll put on Drive because Kavinsky will get me to fall. R.I.P. Kavinsky. He'll get me to fall back asleep. Anyway, I love you guys for hanging out. I'll catch you on the live stream that we do when I hit 2,000 in 2029. We'll do another live stream in 3 years when I hit 2,000. It's going to happen relatively soon.